Overview of the Zoom meeting operations and procedures and rule for participation. Please, if you're zooming in, mute your microphone and be recognized by the chair or the vice chair, etc. I'm filling in for Darla tonight. Public forum. Anybody got anything that's not on the agenda want to briefly let us know? Don't see anything. Anybody up on the Zoom? Nobody here at the table? Okay. Consider quotes and authorization to proceed with a NEMRIC to assist the treasurer's office with backlog of reconciliation and the fiscal year 2023. I'll let you pronounce that word. Anomalies. May include deliberation executive session. Valerie did send us out a quote today. I won't reveal it yet.
Basically, they are proposing 96 hours at least at $110 an hour for a minimum total of $10,560, which would amount to about 2.5 weeks of direct work. I mean, if you add it all together.
So instead of giving us a maximum, they gave us a minimum. That's real reassuring.
And if you don't spend all that, then you pay the full price if you don't spend it by January of next year, is that what I read?
So a full year.
Yeah.
But given the complexities of what we're dealing with, I will probably
Use that.
Plus,
And maybe then some.
Yeah.
I personally would like to see Mark at least get invited to the table and dig into it first before we make a decision on spending 10 plus.
Well, I talked with Chris about that, and he and Sharon feel that they need to have NEMRIC take care of some of these things before they can be delegated to Mark or given to Mark to work with, because it's too complicated, I guess.
That's their opinion, I believe. That's their rightfully to their opinion. I don't know what's out there.
And what was said to me was that after NEMRIC completes their stuff, then we can divide and conquer the other things that need to be dealt with, that he can help with.
I guess my feeling is that they probably know the system better than anybody else. Not that Mark couldn't figure it out, but the learning curve.
He's gotta get invited to the table first.
Yeah, oh yeah, I think.
It's been how many weeks now since we voted him interim? 5? 4 or 5?
I mean, he probably ought to be involved in what they're talking about, but I see no reason to hold off on hiring NEMRIC. I would like to have him included in the conversation, at least so he knows what's going on and he knows what they're doing.
Right, I mean, he may have some insight, he may have some help, you know, he may be able to help some, but yeah, I mean, I agree. He should, if we're gonna ask him to like pick it up at some point, he should at least be involved.
How involved has he been so far?
None.
0. Every time he asks, we haven't got anything for you to do yet.
Okay.
Which they probably haven't, because they don't know where they're headed, but
I believe they do.
I think if we give them,
This,
if
I
we
believe
give
they do,
them
Peter.
direction with this and tell them we want him involved so that when stuff comes back, he knows what was presented to him and can at least weigh in, then they don't have to try to catch him up.
Right. And he may be able to give some insight, I mean, I don't know, but.
I mean, I think they've got plenty to give to him. They could at least say, we don't know where to go. If they at least bring him to the table and say, we don't even know where to start and where to go, except asking, NEMRIC, please come.
Well, no, they've already had a conversation, they've had conversations with NEMRIC, and NEMRIC said, we need to at least get this stuff up to date, the reconciliations and that.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that he can't help and
Right.
that he shouldn't know what's going on as they're doing it. But I think it's probably internal stuff that will be much easier for them, because they know the system. And I would really like to have him understanding what's going on while they're doing it, so that we don't have to have them for extra time just to educate him.
Right.
not that he needs a lot of educating, but they can explain it in terms that, I mean, he's a bookkeeper. So they can explain it in terms that he'll understand that
You and I.
Sharon and Chris might not be able to at this point.
You mean Nemrick could explain it?
Yes.
And what to look for.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah,
You know, and they may be able to give him direction so that we don't use any more than 96 hours.
So Nemrick must have been shown or told what we needed.
no, I think.
How did they
Nemrick-
come
I
up
think
with 96
Nemrick-
hours?
I think Nemrick told them what was needed. Once they started talking about, where's this, what's that, you know, how do I do this? They said, you haven't even reconciled your accounts since
Right.
last October.
Right,
That's first. You know, you gotta do that first. And I can't remember what the other thing that wasn't done.
yeah, there were some other things
But,
too.
yeah. So I think Nemrick's really kind of said to him, you need to start here.
And given that it's a year
It's,
of
yeah,
this versus a couple months or,
Yeah.
you know, even 6 months. I think you're right. I think Mark should be involved. I think having Nemrick come in is an advantage for him. He doesn't have to learn the system. I don't know if he's familiar with Nemrick at all or has ever used
Through
it.
the lister module.
Okay, so just one
But
single
that's different
line.
than the general fund module,
absolutely.
and in the cash accounts and, you know, the other stuff.
Yeah.
So there's,
I think if we had more time, I might support just him taking a look, given his knowledge and education on that. But because we have so little time, I think it's probably the easiest and the quickest thing if we have Nemrick come in and have all three town employees, you know, look and see what Nemrick are doing, and then everyone learns at the same time to hopefully fix the problem, including Mark, and then we have him as another resource, hopefully, that can use this. You know, he could spend 2 weeks looking at it, figure it out, but then that's 2 weeks that we've lost potentially if.
If you
Nemrick
can't
can come
figure
in.
it out.
Right,
It's
exactly,
2 weeks
or has a lot of
lost, and then-
questions for Nemrick.
And then we lose the money,
Yeah,
or we have to pay the money
yeah.
anyway.
Okay. Mhm.
So I would make a motion that we proceed with Nemrick to assist with the reconciliation of the 2023 books.
I'll second that.
Is it the 2023 or 2022?
Well, fiscal year 20.
and
Fiscal year
24.
23 and
So, through now.
through now,
Well, it's not 24 yet.
right.
Tell them to get us straightened out.
Okay, so
Including Mark in the conversation.
Right.
is there a second?
Yeah, Ian seconded.
Oh, Ian second that. Any more comments, questions? All those in favor?
Oh,
Aye.
Opposed? Nay.
So it was-
I didn't
Three,
hear
one.
this.
And Darla, did we hear?
Darla, did you?
Darla, I muted you,
Oh,
well, because it would pick up a lot of the travel noise in
okay.
the car.
Sorry, Darla, are you there now?
That's okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, good and loud and clear.
Yeah, no, I'm a yay. It makes perfect sense to me. They'll speak the same language and they'll be caught up to speed as quickly as possible, so it all makes sense to me.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Darla, I'll leave you unmuted if your background noise, or if you can mute yourself, just in case, that's good.
I
Okay,
don't wanna be listening to hard rock while she's driving to me. Or maybe we do.
We got the cupcakes.
okay. Our, agenda number 2, deliberation on proposed unified development regulations amendments and potential adjustments that may warrant
You did, you typed it
that
perfect.
may warrant an additional public hearing. I just want to remind the people on Zoom, this is a deliberation between the select board. We've had 2 public hearings. We've made notes and listened to your testimony and some good testimony out there. And now the 5 of us will deliberate on what we've been listening for the last 2 public hearings and what we've been reading and try to come, whether we're gonna make some changes or not.
And we're gonna invite Kevin up.
And we're gonna invite Kevin Brown, our town attorney, to help us with some of the questions that we may have as a board. Okay?
He's gonna come up and tell us.
Sure, come right up first.
Or just
Kevin.
go up right
Right
up.
here.
Pull right up here.
Look, we got
There's
food
cupcakes,
today, Kevin. Oh, wow.
Kevin, you have mine too.
These are my birthday cupcakes that Michelle made for me.
Michelle made them?
Saturdays
He
are-
probably doesn't want them.
Saturday's your
So they
birthday.
might be,
How about the turtle cookies?
I don't think they're special cupcakes, so
Alright.
you'll be all right.
Never know.
She hadn't been to Colorado lately.
You don't need to go to Colorado.
No, you don't need to. Yes.
There are cupcakes there, yes.
Dang it,
You're missing the wrong day, Darla.
I know.
You got really good reception. We hear you well, Daryl.
So I thought a little bit of background might be helpful for those of you new or newer. In Vermont, municipalities, that's cities, towns, and villages, have only such power as the legislature gives the town. In that which is necessarily implied in those grants. That's the opposite in most states in the United States, where Vermont has the minority rule. The majority rule is if you're a municipality, you have complete power unless the federal government or the state government has taken it away. So we've always had the minority rule, so we always have to look for our authority. So for planning and zoning, here it is. That's chapter 117 of title 24. It's almost 200 pages, and with the new additions, it probably is over 200 pages. So this is sort of the,
I hope you're gonna paraphrase.
I am. But
You
well,
see all those tabs?
Yeah.
I saw those tabs.
so the important thing is, we always gotta find it. We gotta find the authority or the restrictions, and, there had been some talk, and, I listened to one of the meetings about, the purposes of zoning, being to protect neighbors, and that's one part of it, but, it's sort of missing the main point. This whole chapter is regional planning, municipal planning, and bylaws, like zoning and subdivision, all those things. And the purpose of zoning is to implement the town plan. That's what the statutes tell us. There's a whole bunch of regional and local planning, and then that sets out goals for districts and uses, a wide variety of goals. And then there are a bunch of regulatory tools called bylaws. Zoning is one kind. The only thing that makes a bylaw different from a regulation is the way it's adopted. Bylaws are adopted with development by the planning commission and then adopted by the select board. So there's all different kinds: zoning, flood, subdivision. We have subdivision and zoning combined is unified regulation. That's what we have. Shoreland, there's a handful of them. We also have regulatory powers through ordinances. You've done those types of ordinances. Those are elsewhere. So in zoning or in planning, we're talking about bylaws, and bylaws have this elaborate adoption process. So the goals are really broad. And overall, and you do have to take care of or protect the neighbors, peace, quiet, those kinds of things. But the main goal is to develop a town plan and then have districts and channel uses into appropriate development within those districts. In the statute actually says, in regulating the town shall take care to protect the constitutional right of people to acquire, possess, and protect property. So there's always this balance that we've got, working within the plan, but it's gotta be, there's some outer boundary that the Constitution provides. So the bylaws, there are three types of statutes. One is prohibited. There's certain things we can't do in a bylaw. There's certain things we have to put in a bylaw. ADUs, an accessory dwelling unit, is one of those. We have to provide a minimum level of protection to treat an accessory dwelling unit as just like we treat a single family structure. We can't turn it into conditional use or anything like that. So we have to regulate it the same as a, single-family residences, and we can't, put new restrictions on even, and if we, there's a whole bunch of broadening provisions from the statute that got enacted in the summertime that really don't affect us right now. Multi-unit housing, things like that, so, we're in compliance. A town can be more liberal, less restrictive than with an accessory dwelling unit, so you could have them more easily achieved by, you wouldn't have the size limitations if you didn't want to. We can go, so some places, we have to protect them, but we can, as a town, can be less restrictive if we wanted to. So the main place where we as a town in our zoning can have to think about protecting effect on neighbors is in conditional use. In every district, there's a set of permitted uses which are authorized by the zoning administrator as long as they meet the requirements. You don't do any balancing, or it doesn't matter if the neighbors like it or don't like it, as long as you hit if you hit the standards, you have it. It's called by right use. In every district, there's also a list of conditional uses, and those are uses that may be okay with or without conditions in the zone or in the district. So if there's a conditional use, that's when we get into the character of the area, the effect on the character of the area of the proposed change. And what the statute has us look for, in our regs have, is we look for whether there's, the exact words are, would it cause an undue adverse change to the character of the area? So it's not any change, because even one more vehicle is a change. So what we have to balance and look for is the change undue? We don't get any guidance in the statute from that, but the reason that it's undue adverse change is to get past the problem of any change at all being about prohibiting the use. So what we have in our bylaws for character of the area is important. It says, so we look at character of the area under 355, and this is, in the most recent regs, this was an important change. It says a conditional use may not by its nature, scale, or conduct cause an undue adverse change to the character of the area, and here's the new part, as the area would exist if fully developed in accordance with the town plan. So that is an important provision, because what it means is you're not freezing the status quo necessarily. You have to, as the DRB, or we're looking to say, well, if this is a commercial zone, let's say, well, when it may be an increase now, but is it going to be out of character when this area is fully developed as a commercial district? So that was an important change, and it is sometimes overlooked because, understandably, neighbors, a lot of times there's a collision of uses, intersection there, and it's a change in the status quo that's not welcome. What section 355 says is, well, that the fact that there's a change in the status quo isn't determinative. We have to figure out whether it's an undue adverse impact as the area would exist. It would change the character of the area as the area would exist once fully developed for that district, or in accordance with the town plan for that district. So outside of conditional use, we actually, as the DRB, don't take into account really whether there's some adverse impact on neighbors. have sort of this hybrid. I'm not really a big fan of it, but there are some uses that are permitted uses that have an asterisk next to them, and then we do site plan review for them. But our regs say, but it's not conditional use, so it's hard to do site plan, in some ways, because there are various provisions where you have to, figure out the effect, on neighbors in the sense of like landscaping, screening, things like that. And in fact, it refers us back to the conditional use, bylaws, but not the one I just read. It's the site-specific criteria, so we have to kind of go back in there, so, I guess that's the big picture, is that we do take into account in the bylaws, or effect on the neighborhood, but not all, only where that comes up. And your role now, as with any bylaw, is to take what the planning commission has recommended, and then you folks figure it out, it's your call. And if there's a substantive change, which is not a high threshold to meet, if there's a substantive change, you float it back to the planning commission to see what they think, and they would respond by telling you what they think. They don't have a new hearing, they might say, sounds good, or we're not in favor, or they might not even comment. So then it's back in your lap to decide how the bylaw changes or doesn't change.
We have to have another hearing after that.
If you've made a substantive change, yes. Not substantive-
Pretty much any change we
Well,
make,
yeah.
other than grammar, is a substantive.
Yeah, punctuation, that's right. And so it's a really low threshold.
So you talked about section 355.
Right.
Number 2, that isn't changing
Right.
from our current, that stays the same,
Yeah,
correct? Okay.
right, yeah, I just wanted to illustrate when the bylaws take into account effect on neighbors, and when it's actually a fairly specialized set of circumstances.
When if I understand it right, when it's a conditional use.
Right.
You can say
Yeah.
something about it. If it's a by right use, your hands are tied.
Right, well, if the by right uses don't even come to the board.
Right.
The zoning administrator can issue a permit for a by right use. If somebody doesn't like it and appeals within the 15 days, then it comes to us, but it's the same situation. If it meets setbacks and those things, it doesn't matter if people don't like the color.
Unless it's an asterisk and it says,
Then
that's
it's site
site
plan.
plan review, that'll come.
Right,
Right.
yeah, right. So we've had a couple of those. But that's when we were talking at the last meeting about the Garfield Street situation, and if it was an appropriately sized building, and if the house was a single-family resident, that building met the setbacks, and it was within the height limitations, and I totally get why the neighbors found it an eyesore. But Chris didn't have any say over it. He can't say, I'm not approving that, I really don't like metal siding, I don't think it fits in the district. You can't say that.
So one of the main things that people have commented on is the ADU and the size limitations with respect to a single-story house.
Right,
It was decided it was 80%. For some homes, 80% might still work. For others that were perhaps older homes, single-story, that wouldn't work. You would
right.
have a house
Yeah,
that
I caught,
you couldn't create an actual usable ceiling height in a building.
yeah, if you had a ranch home,
Right,
and.
which
and-
we have plenty of those
Sure,
in the village, and you talked about,
yeah,
last time you were here discussing this with us, you had talked about, along with that, you had mentioned the idea of perhaps having different percentages or height depending on the district.
yeah.
If you're out in, RA1 or 2,
Sure.
it may not matter if you've got 10 acres or 20 acres if you're gonna put up a building that's higher than your house.
Yep,
But in
The
village
village.
mixed or high density residential, it might,
right,
because that's the most dense area.
right, and getting denser.
Right.
The whole effect, well, one of the main effects of the legislation this past summer was to create more housing and channel it into high-density areas, so, you know, we already have those high-density areas, and as Bristol is building out, there's inevitably conflict with the neighbors.
Yeah.
But that's where the growth is supposed to happen. And, I remember when we had the permit before us for the solar panels behind the dentist's office, or
Yeah.
some of the people on Church Street, you know, we got complaints that said, you know, they wanted us to deny the solar panels. It was an amendment to a site plan, because, you know, I really cherish my view of the park. I get it, but that's not but that's not something we have the right to protect, or to say to somebody, sorry, you can't develop because they like.
I like their view.
They
I like this
their
nice
view.
open field in front of my
Well,
house, I don't want you.
That's
Right.
that's the thing, so in the village, what I'm calling the village, or even out on Plank Road, we've got some development, we had some off of Deveno, and, there's some building lots that now are getting filled up, and it appropriately filled up.
Yeah.
But it is a change in the status quo, that there's gonna be more traffic for the people who are there, they have to put up with the construction noise, it's short-lived, but, these things are inevitable, and the neighbors don't have a veto, and if it's conditional use, that's when the DRB, takes the impact on the character of the area into account, and, all conditional uses go to the DRB. The, application comes into the zoning administrator, and it's passed on by bylaw right to the DRB. If it's permitted use, the zoning administrator issues or denies that permit themselves. We only deal with permits or appeals of the zoning administrator's actions.
Yeah, I think one of the best things the legislature ever did was close that 10-acre loophole.
Yeah,
So you didn't have 100 acres with 10 houses built in
that's what it was happening.
their own little spot, you
It's
know.
all around Addison County where it's clay.
Yep.
Everybody who had 10.01 acres because they couldn't get a septic system in. You know, avoiding the cost of the monthly system.
And I get it, what they're trying to do is to keep the residentials, if you want that open area, you've gotta keep the people
Yeah,
more or less confined.
yeah. You want-
There's probably a better term, but.
No, I know, no, it's channeling development.
Get you
into-
jailed, you're in
Well,
jail.
You know, there's a lot of sense to it. Maintaining the historic development pattern of compact villages and open countryside with farming and forestry, that's right in the statutes. And for 30 years, we've been in the statutes, combating sprawl. You know, so it's not Route 7, it's not Williston Road, the land just gets chewed up. It's focusing that growth in the center, and helps for transportation and walk to work, you know, those.
Well, services. you
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
The more houses we get in the notch, the more service the notch requires, the more,
Yeah,
the more it costs us per resident
yeah,
to do that.
and that's why the firehouse apartments were such a great thing for the town. You've got affordable housing close to downtown, and when the solar plant opens up, and some people walk to work, and there's a lot of logic to the concentration of development in the village centers, but it breeds conflict where we're not already built
Growing
out.
pains.
Yeah.
Growing pains.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
I mean,
like
you've
to-
got a nice, big, open backyard, and I've enjoyed it for years, and now you wanna put something in it,
right.
and, how is it that I can tell you what you can do with your property?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Because I want it open. I mean,
that's the balance that's in the statutes. That's where you don't have a view easement. That would be an undue restriction if we were to implement that. Sorry, you can't have the solar panels because people on Church Street want to view the park. That would be outside our authority. It's all totally legitimate and understandable. You get where people are coming from. I mean, one thing, I hear a lot on the board when you've got a conflict or a contested application is like, and you know, and you wouldn't want it next to you. And that's probably true.
You don't want to go there.
Well, but that's not the measure.
Yeah,
Hey, I wouldn't want it next to me, but they can't do it next to me, so.
Yeah, what do you mean? If they can, yeah, you have
Yeah.
to, sometimes you gotta live with it.
so since the ADU has been discussed the most, do you
Right.
have a suggested, direction in terms of the sizing? It seems like what's proposed, the 80%, in my mind, won't work and might limit a lot of people from developing, ADUs in the future, especially in our more denser areas or for a house that has just
Yeah.
a single story.
Yeah.
And I don't know, so if we change the 80%, what do we change, or what do we recommend changing it
I
to?
guess you could fine tune it, and since the single story house is the problem,
Yeah,
you know, you could have, there's no harm in actually fine tuning. If it's a single story house, same height, same, you know, some limitation, maybe the 80% is okay there. Was it 80% of the square footage, like the footprint?
yes.
Oh, it is 80%, I thought it was 80% of the height.
20% lower than the main.
Oh, that's right.
Is it
It's just the
20% lower
height,
than
it's
the
only
main thing?
900 feet.
900 square feet.
900 square feet, the ADU can be.
Right.
But you can allow a bigger ADU if you wanted by statute. That's being less restrictive. If you allow more than 900 square feet, you're
Less
opening it up. You're being less restrictive, and that's permissible.
But I mean, like, my house is a single family,
Right.
residence, a ranch, but my roof line is 32 feet.
Yeah.
So, you know, it would fit in that criteria, but somebody in a normal ranch, it would not. So you can't, we just have to be careful. Like,
Right.
you know, Ian was saying, well, can we just put a 25-foot limit on it, no matter what? You know, whether it's a ranch or, you know, 2-story or 3-story. I mean, because we got a 3-story house, not that we have that many, but we have a 3-story
No,
house, that's gonna be
there's-
tall.
There's a lot of them
Mhm.
on the, you know, Pleasant Street and
Yeah, some of the older
There's a fair amount.
coach barns are pretty big.
Well, so in the Enabling Better Places, a zoning guide for Vermont neighborhoods, the recommendation in there, which doesn't take into account single story, is the height of the eave of the accessory dwelling may not exceed 80% of the height to the eave of the single family dwelling.
And I
that-
think that's
that
what they were
doesn't
talking.
work.
Right, and that's what they're using, essentially, the 20%
Yeah.
less. And it is talking about height versus foot.
and it's
Eve rather than the ridge?
Eve rather
It's
than
eve,
ridge, which
correct.
really
Yeah,
draws
so
it
Eve is
down.
down,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, you can do stuff with different pitches. You could have a shallow pitch on it.
Right.
You know, I don't know, I think,
Would you just say that if it's a single story, that,
It can't be any
maybe
higher.
higher than the ridge.
right, can't be higher than principal,
Yeah, the same,
The
yeah,
principal
that's,
dwelling.
yeah.
something like that.
Now, and I guess that might make it hard, but maybe that's okay. I'm thinking of most ADUs will be above a garage.
Okay,
Not always, but if there's an attached garage, like my house is an attached garage, I got one zoning permit, you know, but if it's a separate, building, unattached, then, I would think you're probably, and it was on top of a garage, the second story of a garage, then, you would end up with a difference in, where the height of the main building would be too low, most likely. If it's level.
Well,
Right.
and the way it's written right now, you could build the garage and then after the garage was built, you could apply for a permit to put the ADU in the upstairs.
Right,
Kind of like, I got the example of my garage.
yeah, I
Many
know,
years ago.
yeah,
And
yeah, if it's,
But would it be?
That's an end
higher
around
because
me.
It's above the,
well, you know, it's an accessory, garage is an accessory structure.
right,
And
Yeah, and
you
the
can go in the accessory structure, and I don't know if we have any restrictions other than the 35-footer on.
right, 35
No,
feet.
we don't.
Yeah, and so if the building were, it can make for a tough problem.
Because that's what they were
That's a
hollering,
loophole,
I
yeah.
think that's what John Moyer was
And Porter.
most upset
What I
about,
was worried
was
about too.
the fact that you could build a
accessory.
garage, accessory building today, and
Yeah.
tomorrow, because it's no longer new construction, you could put a ADU in it.
How do you close that loophole though?
Well, but
You restrict the accessory,
well,
you.
you know, I don't see a problem with it, if you can have a garage and an ADU, I don't,
I mean,
to me,
what's that?
that's not a problem.
I mean,
that's,
what's the
that's what an ADU is supposed to be,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, or one of the things that it
But-
can be. I mean, that's the idea that you're encouraging people to build.
But is that an end around, like my garage?
I don't think so.
Yeah, but you think about it. if
My
you-
garage is at least 100% higher, or 100% even with a house, or maybe up
Oh,
to,
it's higher.
it's a
Yours
couple,
is
3 feet higher.
But if my,
But
but
that
if you,
doesn't, changing that use doesn't change the building. You know, you don't,
right,
No, but if I knew all along I was gonna build an ADU, but I'm just gonna apply for a 2-story garage in it, you know?
but what difference does it make? If you put in an accessory unit, it's
Cause I
still
got
two,
around it, I guess I got
but
around
it's
the,
still 2 stories.
Correct.
You're still
But
building a
you have the
2-story
height
accessory.
restriction.
Well,
Okay,
currently,
but
currently you
not-
have, currently
You
the height,
have,
currently the height restriction is 35 feet.
on an ADU.
No.
No, on an
On
accessory
accessory.
building.
On accessory.
Accessory building.
Which is fine, I mean, that's why, and the one on Garfield is lower than 35 feet.
yeah,
So, you know, if I had the space, I could build a building that was 35 feet
Feet
tall,
tall. Mhm.
which would be higher than my house.
so you wouldn't get an ADU if you put it down on your application, garage with an
No, you can
ADU.
right now.
But get it built, get a CO for it, and then apply the next day.
Right now, you can, with the new regs, you would have to do it as, you couldn't do them
Yeah,
together.
2 stages.
Right.
You'd have to know ahead of time.
Because of the 80%.
well, one thing I suppose you could do, strikes me, in the village, although the lots are smaller, so it might not work, is you could say, if you had a ranch house, you could say that you can have an accessory dwelling unit, but it's no higher than ranch, so that would mean it's not on top of the garage.
Right.
You
Right.
know, they could have a garage and,
An
But
ADU,
then- but then
if they have
that's-
the room.
I don't know.
You're eating up more ground
Right.
space.
and you have a tinier lot to begin with.
Yeah.
You know, with
Right.
setbacks, so it's,
And I don't feel just because you bought that ranch and your neighbor isn't in a ranch, it's just, you know,
It should
that
restrict
house
it.
is already
Why
there
are
when I
you
bought
more
it.
restricted?
Yes, why am I more restricted? Because I happened to purchase that house,
Right.
you know, a few years ago, and I look at the regs and I can't build because of I'm only a single story. I feel that's wrong. I think you should be able to,
Or you
know.
change, you build your ranch and make it 2-story and then put up your.
It's a lot of construction.
I know.
But I think
But-
that is, you know, I'm all for not having behemoth kind of buildings, which is already in our regulations, the 35 feet. Most people won't build that tall because that's pretty darn tall.
Right,
And we already have that. But I feel we need something in the middle. The 25 feet, that was something where, is that a compromise where it's a blanket thing, it's 25 feet, let's say it's in, just, HDR, since that's the densest area potentially, or maybe HDR
Village mixed and
and
HDR.
and village, residential,
What is,
or village mix.
what is the restriction on an accessory building? Is it,
Accessory.
It's size,
structure.
so
Size.
it's 1,000 at the moment, and
1,000 square
high
feet
density,
footprint.
yeah, 1,000 square foot footprint, and then up to 35
5
feet.
okay, so you're not gonna get, you're not gonna have a big enough footprint to warrant going 3 stories on
No, unless you're
35
doing
feet.
something
a,
contemporary, where
something
it's
that's
very
gonna
small
look,
on a tower or
that's really
something.
gonna look.
Right, I was always curious about that 35, especially in those areas, because,
pretty common.
oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, I
But the
see it in a
majority
lot
of houses, even with older barns, still aren't 35 feet
I
tall.
know, yeah, that's right, and these are,
Well, 35 is the ceiling here too. 35 is as
Max.
high as you can go
Right.
on anything,
Correct.
Mhm.
whether it be the
Oh, I
primary.
see, yes.
Right.
That's why, it's
Yeah.
a blanket to include,
Yeah.
whether it's an
Right.
accessory or your
Or
main
your building
house,
house,
yeah.
yeah.
But most main houses aren't 35.
No.
I mean, 35, I guess, is 3 stories, right? I mean, there are a few.
2 stories.
No, 2 stories,
Yeah.
it depends on the pitch of the roof.
2-story,
Oh,
right.
okay,
yeah, if you go with a 12-12, you can
Yeah.
creep up there pretty quick if your
Well,
house
mine's
is.
10-12, and that's
Yeah.
why it's 32 feet high at peak.
right.
But we could have a second floor up in there, I mean, it's tall enough in there to put a second floor.
So let's say we did want to look at it, just doing 25 feet for the accessory building in a couple of the denser areas. Do you see any issue with that?
That would
It seems
still
like it's less
allow you-
restrictive than the 80%, it's less restrictive than a single story for a single story primary building.
Are you talking, let me
principal.
just clarify, are you talking for an ADU or you're talking for an accessory
Both,
unit?
because it's
So
not,
we're talking about changing it, but then you're also changing it for houses or primary
We got it.
residence.
No.
We've
too.
gotta treat
no,
ADUs
They
the
have to
same
be
way as,
treated the
as
same, right.
single family residence.
That's why I was trying to clarify with what
You know,
direction he
so-
was going.
oh,
So
I
what
see
if-
what you mean.
Yeah,
So if you change it to 25.
What if we
you gotta change the
went-
housing
change it for
component.
everybody.
What if we went 25 feet or 80%, whichever is greater?
Well, that's
And
what I
then we
was
could
thinking.
leave
Yeah, I
it
like
at,
that.
and then we could leave it at the 35 feet, and if you had a 35-foot house, you're still gonna end up right around 25 feet.
Right.
Yeah,
But if you have a single story home,
You can go
you can,
25
you can
feet.
go 25 feet.
And
yeah.
you can easily get, you know, you get two 10-foot stories and you got 5 foot left for your roof. It's gonna be a little flat, but
Or you could have an 8-foot ceiling, a 9-foot ceiling in a garage, or an 8-foot and an 8-foot.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, you gotta figure your floor trusses and.
Yeah, fortresses and things, yeah.
what do you think about that?
You're changing that for everything though, you know,
Yeah.
through all of our zones.
Well,
No, we could do
No, I
just the
think-
2 zones.
yeah,
I think this is an open area, I mean, under this act, it's gotta be this, treated the same as single family residences, not,
Not by
It may-
zone?
well, okay,
Okay,
but
that's
yeah,
what I'm
I think, who knows? I
Mhm.
think it's probably, you know, you can treat things differently by zone.
Mhm.
That's the whole point of the planning, and so,
yeah,
within the district, you gotta treat it the same
Okay.
as a single family residence.
So we can say high density residential, village,
Mix.
mixed village residential,
Yes.
you could say, put that in there and then the
Right.
rest.
Right, so.
Can
Leave it.
Now,
Leave it as
well,
it-
there's a little bit of a
leave it
danger,
as-
well, let's think about that though,
That's
there's a danger there. And we ran into this forever with the former village, is, you know, we have minimum lot sizes, and
Right.
most of the lots in the village were less than the minimum lot size, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that makes them pre-existing non-conforming
Conforming,
lots.
right.
That's a pain, and well, it's really, can be problematic because there's a lot of restriction on what you can do with a non-conforming structure or non-conforming use, so if you pass something now that, thinking about, well, for new construction, if you pass it for the district, you don't wanna make all the buildings that are bigger than that already non-conforming structures. Cause then you're really, you
Don't,
hamper yourself on what you can do, with respect to the nonconformity. Changes, you can't change, expand the nonconformity, that's what we're talking about with your hypothetical, with your,
but if
Garage,
if your
put an
house,
addition on one side, but you couldn't go up if you're.
if your house was 35 foot tall already,
Mhm.
you could go 80% of that. I don't, for your accessory structure. 85% of the 35 or 25 foot, whichever was greater, which is gonna depend on whether you do, you know, a steep pitch
Yeah.
roof or a flat roof or,
but it's
does
not,
that change putting that limit on the accessory structure, does that change the house? Because the structure can only be, that structure can only be 900 square feet. So you're saying if we do that, my house has to be 900 square feet?
No,
No.
I was saying if you change district-wide, the height, say if you say, or we're gonna have 25 feet for the house, you know, cause we're thinking of new construction, and the accessory structures, that would make, and you did that would make all the existing structures greater than 25 feet, non-conforming structures, which is
That's why,
dangerous.
that's why we say go with
Thir-
80% or 20,
No, we said 35 feet or 80% of the primary residence,
No,
whichever is greater.
25.
25, is that what you said?
25 feet or 80% of the existing
We
structure.
And
put the
that's-
25, I think, bigger clear was for the 1 stories.
No, we're saying.
Straight across the board. So if your house is 35 feet tall, you can go
80%.
80% of that, which is what? Do the math.
But if you got a story and a half,
Less.
Not gonna do that.
Kevin would know, he'll write
28
it
feet.
28.
Okay, so you get an extra 3 feet if your house is 35 foot tall.
But
But
it doesn't,
But if
if you
it's a
have,
1 story, you
You
can
can
be a
go
minimum of
25
25, yeah.
Right.
You know, it's clear we can tie the size of the ADU in some manner to the single-family residence. That's in the statute
right,
now, and it remains in the statute as a result of this act from the summertime. It just moved. And now, those size limitations, that ratio, that's now in the definition section of accessory building structure. So you don't see it anymore where we see it now, but it's still there, so we know that that's okay. So it's not, even though we have to treat them, we have to permit them wherever we permit single-family residences, it's not true that we have to treat them just like we treat a single-family residence as far as size, because we're already
well,
limited.
that's what I was gonna ask,
Already
so if
limiting
somebody's got a
us.
lot and they wanna build a house, are they at 35 feet?
That's
Limit?
the way
Is that
I
what
would
we're
like
saying?
to
If
keep
that's
it.
what we're saying, we're gonna leave it at 35 feet and any
The primary dwelling,
ADU or accessory structure is either 25 feet or 80%
right,
of the
you would add
primary.
in, so you'd have
That's
building height, principal structure, 35 feet. And then accessory structure, 25 feet, or 80% of principal structure. Are we taking questions from,
No,
There are 2 hands up.
no. We've already, here, Joel already said that we're not.
Elizabeth wasn't on, but Jessica was when I said that, we're in
We're
deliberative
in
session.
so we're not taking comments from the,
No.
You might send them
okay.
or I can just say, I'm gonna answer it down now.
But I just wanna make sure that by
We're
us
not
doing
taking
this,
the
we're not
35
treating
feet
them,
away.
and
Yeah.
we're not treating them differently.
Right, and it doesn't
You
take
know,
the 35 feet, so it doesn't make the majority of housing non-conforming
Non-conforming, right.
automatically by changing
Right, right.
that. But it would just be,
It would give us
if
that
the
leeway.
state statute says, if we're treating it the same as the principal building, are we putting restrictions on it by saying it's 25 feet or 80% of the principal?
I think that's no
I
different
don't-
than the way you have it, because right
Yeah.
now they have it
Okay.
80%,
Yeah, they
or
have,
whatever.
it's, the current statute is 30% of total habitable floor area of the single-family dwelling, or 900, right?
Yeah, 900 is what they're looking to change
Yeah,
it to from
Change it to from
1,000.
1,000.
No, we're not, that's not changing. It's
Yeah,
still,
that's-
it's still, no, it's not. It's
It
not,
is.
it's not in,
I thought
They're
they
the
went
marked up
to
regs.
1,000.
Well, I didn't wanna
it's
look
not
at
in
the
the marked up
memo.
regs.
What page are you on?
Well, I'm just looking at the high-des HDR on page 23. And it's still, the accessory building is 1,000 square feet.
Kevin, could we, I still got some real bugaboo about the end around. Somebody coming in and going, gonna build a garage like mine, and no, it doesn't meet, it's higher than mine, but it's just a garage, but I'll come in next year for a permit to make it an ADU.
No, we're saying any building. Any structure
It's 35,
is
just a garage.
80% or
Okay.
25 feet, whichever is greater, is the limit.
No, only accessory structure, not principal structure.
Correct.
So whether it's a garage like mine or whatever, it's still 25%, 25 feet maximum height, the garage,
20, well, you could be 28 if your house is 35.
It's changed.
80%, okay.
Single family.
Whichever of the two. So we're not restricting you to 25 feet if you have a 35-foot house.
Okay.
You can go,
It's not.
All right,
you get that, you gain 3 feet.
Or 900 square feet.
I was just trying to, if we, the end around, well, I'm gonna come back next year for an ADU.
Because right here where he was looking, it does
Yeah,
still
but
say.
it's
under-
the section
it's gotta go
404
from
where
the
it
design
defines
review
it,
board.
they're switching it.
Because,
Right.
you know, if I put an apartment in my garage right now, and it's, let's say it's a 1-bedroom and a young couple moves in with 2 cars, that restricts
Yeah,
more.
if it has,
This-
if you're
this
treating
is
it,
the
so it has to come to the
structure,
development review board and
Footprint
the single family
structure,
home is done.
1,000.
That's-
And I think that is the actual use.
That's the problem.
Is the use.
I'm thinking of vehicles in
So
the
why
area and
would
more of that,
why
neighbors
would
would
we
have
have
more
more
traffic.
It should be
The other
the same.
occupies either the primary dwelling or second, the property has sufficient.
I mean, that's 10 by 10.
Purpose of this section
Yeah.
clearly subordinate shall mean that the accessory unit does not exceed the greater than 30% of the total habitable floor area of the main single-family dwelling or 900 square feet.
Right.
Does it say whichever's greater, or is it 900 the maximum?
Yeah, just a dwelling of 900 square feet, so I believe that's the
Whichever is,
maximum.
the current statute says whichever is greater.
The
30% or 900 square feet, whichever is greater.
Yeah, that's not what they have in here.
So if you
And I
guys,
don't think that changed. I meant to bring my computer with Act 47. I'm pretty sure this section from 4412 just got, I know it just got lifted and put into the definition section for accessory dwelling unit. You have 47, Rick?
No, no.
It has to say whichever's greater, otherwise you can't.
Yeah.
I can,
Buy it.
Kevin,
So-
I have a question for you, Kevin, is, so we keep going back to that Garfield.
Yeah.
and The metal building. And my garage is almost gonna be metal, and my wife says, no way, we're not living in a metal, your building, well, anyway. But if that one, could we have some language that says any accessory buildings, I hate to use the word, but has to fit the neighborhood?
That was it was in the discussion.
And so the zoning,
And the track changes and they removed it.
They had to, the
And-
state statutes require, because you can't treat them differently than a single-family
I'm not-
residence.
Yeah, so
Okay.
somebody comes in HDR or one of the open lots that isn't built out yet, there's no, design, style guideline.
okay,
You know,
design, yep.
I mean, we only have a design review
It's just
district for
changing
downtown,
another-
you could have a bigger one,
Where you can have it.
but,
Well, what I'm saying is it would give the zoning administrator at least some, say, I gotta kick this over to design review.
well, or yeah, you can create.
And then the neighbors could
The
at least,
design review is only a small district, it's just the.
right, I know, it's just a main street.
It could be bigger, but,
Right, but
I'm not,
I'm
Please
very,
don't.
very much against that.
Please
No,
don't.
I mean, I
No, I'm
serve
not
on
for
that
that.
committee and I'm all for that,
Yeah.
for the main street, but
Right.
not for
Yeah,
housing.
no,
It
I
just
get
makes
it.
it so complicated and it's
Yeah.
not welcoming to work with,
yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah, no, and it's freezes time.
And it's opinion, you know,
Right.
it's.
it is
personal
opinion, it is a
And
lot of
it is
opinion, I
mu-
get that.
It can be
Michelle.
really mushy.
I mean,
With,
The metal
very
building,
subjective.
the metal building across from Firehouse Drive on apartments and mine, the fire station that Littlesworth built, that's what it was, that's where they go. And they don't go in the backyard of a Garfield residence.
But I mean,
We don't have any zoning to,
But it's your choice, that's the thing.
right,
We don't,
We can't control.
yeah,
no, we know we can't, but-
yeah. We know that there are issues with that particular one, but the look of it isn't one of those issues.
Right, and so you could control it if you
Ah,
wanted
yes.
to, there's an available tool.
Yeah.
If you wanted to go down that path, it's an involved path that has important ramifications. Some towns have decided they want to do that, and
Right.
a lot of towns don't.
Is that the historic preservation district, overlay
Yeah,
district
yeah.
for design review?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's downtown, you can have just design review overlay districts that take up a lot of land, or they take up a lot of area. Queechee has it, Woodstock has it,
I mean,
Middlebury has a pretty broad one, and,
well, you mentioned in somewhere, and I wrote it down here,
occupation, cemetery.
character and use,
yeah.
and that's where I got,
Character of the area.
A character of the area.
In conditional use, it's right here, the second correct thing, that's what we have to, as the DRB, that's one of the 5 things under the general criteria for review, that's what we have to consider. Does it cause undue adverse change to the character of the area, as the area would exist if fully developed in accordance with the town plan?
So let me ask you,
so that right there, we couldn't put,
You can't make it conditional use,
okay,
because single-family houses aren't conditional use in the district, that's the.
Right.
okay.
They're by right uses in those districts, so.
yeah, what were you looking at?
Well, it was, I'm just trying to, as you do, like run through ramifications of making the changes. So if we did the height, it seems like we're safe in terms of making an accessory building either 25 feet tall or 80% of the principal structure. We would choose a couple of select districts that are the higher density of
Smaller
homes.
lot.
And smaller lot size, right, not just higher density, but smaller lots. And hopefully, the idea is that you're reducing the potential of having a giant structure in the back of the yard.
Yeah.
Even though if you look at people, you can look around and go down each street, there are some
Big
lots
ones.
that have very large barns behind it,
Yeah.
you're just used to those, they've been there for decades.
Or
and you're
some
just used to
two-story
those.
garages, we've permitted some of
Right.
them, and they're big, and the
Right.
setbacks appropriately for the outbuildings, the setbacks are small, they've gotta be in the village. The
Yeah.
lots are too small otherwise.
Right.
And,
And you can't do anything with it.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, so, there are already some pretty good sized accessory structures that are pretty tall.
Right. And with regard to your building is different because it's already built.
Right.
And so if you wanna
But
change
it's
it to
under
an
the 35 feet.
right.
Yeah.
But even if it was over, it would still, because it's already built, it's now a change in use and you would need to go before
Yeah, right.
a board because it's a non-conforming building compared to what our zoning
Right,
regulations
and
are
so if
now.
you, I mean, theoretically, if you had a really big accessory structure and somebody wanted to put an ADU in it and it had a big footprint, as long as you limit the size of the ADU,
Right,
I mean, it could be it doesn't have to take up the whole second floor, that,
and even if it did,
we'd limit it.
you're still not changing the size of that structure that's been
Right.
there for decades.
Right,
You're changing the use, which then could change things, how you're interacting with the building, but you're still not asking to put on,
right,
to increase the size of the building, I mean, you're not gonna be
That's
able to do that.
right.
So, yeah,
Yeah, my point is that we could, our size limitations on 900 feet habitable floor area 30% does not mean that that's the size of the accessory structure into which you
Right.
might go in. It's the size of the ADU in the accessory
that's right,
structure.
which I think is they're changing that in the ADU, details from 1,000 to 900.
Mhm.
But I noticed that it wasn't in our breakdown of the different districts, and because the 1,000 square foot is the size of the structure, and
Right,
what they're talking about is the
Right.
size of the ADU.
right, footprint, yep.
Yeah,
So
not the
that, so
structure
that
itself,
doesn't have to
it's,
change, right?
that's correct,
Like
it's
we're
the
saying, that
use
doesn't have to
itself. So in the garage that I build with the ADU, when I build out that area for my mom to live in,
Mhm.
it has to be 900 square feet. Or less,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah,
but
or-
my building can be 1,000 square feet.
Well, does it make sense to just have them both 1,000? You're
Right,
being less
That's-
restricted,
right.
you're being less restricted.
and that was a comment that we had.
You're gonna have these little breezeways on the back that,
Right.
you're at inside wall and then this dead space.
And I imagine it would be difficult to enforce
Yeah,
Yeah.
over time.
right, does that hallway count as my ADU?
Right, or some,
Right.
10 years
Staircase
later,
going up, yeah, no.
renovations.
That's what I was thinking,
Yeah,
I would say,
okay.
I would argue, no, that's not part of the living space.
Right, so looking at in most.
Well, it is when you figure out, if you're looking at your house and I say I have 2,400 square feet.
Yeah, oh yeah.
that Stairs is part of that 2,400 square.
Like I
feet.
said, if I was building an
Habitable
ADU, I'd
floor
argue,
area. So
Yeah,
the
just see.
hallway that doesn't have heat,
Mhm.
and because you had to make it 100 square feet lesser than the footprint, that's not part of the habitable floor area. It's hard to see what the rationale would be to hold on to 900 in that situation.
So for the 900, Kevin Hansen spoke before about making that change to be more in line with the state's regulations. Is that what it is at the state level now? It's
Yeah, it's
900?
900
Okay.
or
30%.
30%.
So, but in our different districts, depending on the district, of course, our accessory structure is 1,000 square feet. So should we accept the ADU of 900 and then alter the accessory building structure to be 1,000, or should we just not alter
I think you wanna, since, I think a lot of them are going to go into, ADUs are going to go into the accessory structure, I think it makes sense to, for the accessory structure limitation and the ADU restriction to be the same.
Okay, is there one that,
I mean, it's, you know, and you can be, we're not wedded to 900, if you allow them to be 1,000, you're being less restrictive, you're
Right.
allowing a bigger ADU, that's okay.
yeah, but at the moment, we're allowing 1,000-foot structure, and only 900 square feet of that can be used as an ADU.
Yeah, that,
So we're creating an odd little,
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it's hard to see what the benefit of that is, you
100,
know.
100 square feet less,
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, well, it comes.
Could that area be,
It's what the state, it comes from the state
Yeah.
statute, but that is not written in stone. We can be more,
Less restrictive.
we could be less restrictive, which would mean allow a bigger ADU than 900 square feet.
right,
I mean, I
guess-
didn't know if they were limited
could we,
because the size of
Kevin,
the
could we
lots is
say
so small. it would
1,000
allow for
square
more-
feet with
more people
900
to
as
do
living
it.
space and 100 square feet as,
But it wouldn't matter. if
like
they
a
could do less
utility
than
area,
1,000.
like-
Well, that's what it
1,000
would,
is the
that's what it
max.
would be now.
if
you
we
have
lower it
1,000-foot
to
structure
900,
and you have,
then
it's
we're
900-foot habitable floor area.
right, you
hopefully,
had the stairs inside of it
Well,
and the
that's not
utility
gonna-
room.
structure is smaller than
You know,
it would have been previously.
That could
I mean,
be
it's
in the
100
hundred,
square feet.
that could be in the 100 square feet.
And it's,
Yeah,
and it's in line with the
200
state,
square feet, yeah.
right, no, I know, but it's 200 square
What is
feet
that?
times,
Yeah, I mean,
times
toward
2
that,
stories, that's.
You know, I mean,
So, maybe
it's
we
better
do want
to,
to do that, we would,
it's
we
better
would
to,
pick,
since there's
currently
nothing
what we
magic
have
about 900 other than
in
it's
it,
the
as
minimum.
1,000 square foot accessory, we would change it. Which
Why
is just
not,
a
why not
couple of
just,
districts,
if
so
you're
maybe
gonna
we
keep
could do
1,000
that.
for the
And then
footprint of
have
the
our
structure,
25
accessory
or
structure, why not just
I wanna write
Make
that
it
down,
1,000,
see if it
yeah.
actually makes
Mhm.
sense.
make it 1,000?
Okay, another question, not that we're off ADUs, we can go swing back, but there was something in here, you guys, that said that they increased for more residents or more building area, apartments and things, in the sewer district. I read somewhere in that.
Yeah, well, right, well, if you have water and sewer, you can have, more affordable housing, I think.
So, but are we,
But
because
don't
we,
have water and sewer very much.
well, we know the downtown, just Main Street does, and a little bit,
Yeah, I
a
know.
couple of corners.
Yeah, but there's nowhere to add, there's
Right.
nowhere you
We
can
can't
build
add
something.
any more sewage to it.
Right, so it's where the statute required additional accommodation of affordable housing, is where you have municipal water and sewer available, and for Bristol, that's a pretty small part of the town.
Well,
So it's not one or the other, it's
let's
both.
take the two buildings across the road here. Funeral home and the doctor's office, if they were sold and they went up 35 feet and put in 8-unit apartments in both of them, we don't have sewage enough to
Accommodate them.
accommodate them.
Right, well,
So-
yeah, I mean, there's a,
But I wouldn't want a developer to,
well, the sewage has to be available, so,
okay.
you know, so.
Should we have that in the language, if available,
Water,
if
well,
sewage,
water and sewer available.
water's available, sewer's not.
Yeah, you know,
We don't
You don't
allow
have
that
to-
in commercial. It's a commercial district, and we don't allow it there.
Yeah. Mhm. So Kevin, let me just ask on the changes they made on the accessory dwelling unit, where they say 30% of floor area of the main single-family dwelling, or 900 square feet, whatever we're gonna do, and then we have to put in there whichever is greater.
yeah, cause
Okay.
right.
That's got it, I didn't know,
But-
okay.
Are you looking at a specific page?
It's 52, 53, 52.
Yeah, it's the
It's section
details on
404,
accessory dwelling
yeah.
unit, section
Yeah.
404.
Mhm.
So, continuing with that discussion, our densest and smaller lots is the HDR. Is there any other area that we would consider putting the 25-foot or 80% restriction or language in?
Wouldn't that also be village mixed, isn't that the blue?
So there's village residential, which is the light blue, which is this.
Yeah,
And then village mixed
Mixed.
is all this.
and that's really where isn't that where all your smaller lots are?
Well, this is HDR right here.
This is-
Village
I'm trying to
mixed.
see your map.
This is the former
Oh,
village.
sorry,
the village
village
planning area.
mixed, this is HDR, all the
Oh,
light
okay,
blue.
okay.
Village mixed is all
Oh,
this.
all that,
Which seems,
okay.
I don't know if that makes sense to have the 25 feet restriction on that. You got a little bit of this in here, it's an odd little kind of shape. with
It's
the
south-
And then we've got,
Yeah, it's south of Main Street,
right.
in
And
large
there's-
measure.
And there's Rockydale as well, there's a
Yeah.
little bit in there.
And then west of, Burpee Road,
Right, down by Lover's Lane and Lower Notch.
yeah.
East of.
But
or
all
east
of Main Street is in ROC.
Right. Well, no, West Street is in ROC.
Yeah.
Right.
Right,
And Village Business is our downtown
Downtown.
district.
right, West Street. That's-
So if we look at let's see, if we look at Village
See,
Business,
there's Main Street right there.
so Village Business,
This is rec here.
This is Main Street right here.
Right.
West Street, I should say.
West Street, that's west.
Yeah,
Village
that's
Business
rec.
currently has 45 or 40 feet in height, they're changing it to, from 50. So that goes above our
So-
35.
So they're lowering the height limit on Main Street?
Correct.
From
In that district. And there is no detail on what an accessory building could be, probably because it would be impossible to put an accessory building there. So I don't think we need to put it in Village Business.
No, I can't.
And then if we look at ROC, ROC, which is residential, office, commercial, so the principal structure can be 35, and then for footprint structure, it's 20,000 square foot principal, the lesser of 10,000 square foot, or 50% of the principal structure for accessory structures.
Yeah,
Lost you.
I'm going,
know, that's what I'm saying.
I'm looking through the numbers here and they're not adding up.
No.
Some of them don't have them.
Correct.
You know,
Yes.
like, primary structure, 5,000 feet, that would allow you 1,500 square feet for your accessory building.
Yes.
But then you get out to the, agricultural, you
Right.
couldn't build an agricultural building more than 2,000 square feet,
Yeah.
which doesn't, if I'm reading this right, rural agriculture, RA2,
Well, it doesn't apply to, it doesn't apply to farm structures and things, we can't regulate
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
well,
Farm
if
is-
I wanted to build
You have to
a,
meet setbacks.
if I wanted to build a horse barn, I don't need to get a zoning permit, I just need to tell you I'm building it because it's agriculture? No.
It depends.
I thought you had to make 51.
How long's a horse gotta live in there?
Well, I forget what you have to go into the Department of Ag regulations,
Okay.
and there's some threshold for number of horses. I don't remember what it was.
Oh, nice.
4 horses, it's incredibly detailed.
Okay.
You
How
might-
many
In
goats?
order to.
You might have to get a couple more
How many
horses.
goats?
Well, in
Heather might
order-
have to get one
in
more
order to
horse.
get the benefit of the exemption,
Yeah.
or the prohibition of zoning regulation, you have to be a certain
Size.
level.
Yeah. Level size.
Yeah.
Another question I have for you, Kevin, is, to give the public a little more, notice, could we go from, the permit's gotta be in the visible in the window, or out, we wanted it out on the stand, go from 15 days, they have up to 30 days to appeal, or you can't
No.
change that in statute, is that in
No,
statute?
That's in the statute, but I'm wondering,
It's 50% of it, so if it's 10,000.
So the neighbors at least say, you know, you have 30 days to think about this and appeal the zoning administrator's decision.
Signs, regulations. Okay. So,
You know, 15 days, that's 2 weeks, just
and
better.
village mix.
It can go by pretty fast.
well, and
Okay.
there's a little gap there that sometimes, people don't sometimes understand. That they gotta put it up, or they're being crafty and they put it where it can't be seen. But I've had people just as an attorney say, oh, I put that up when the construction's gonna start. And it's like,
Am I considered?
construction, and thinking back, well, that kinda makes sense, but no, that completely defeats the purpose.
Well, I
you
just
know,
was.
it's-
15 days have gone, but could be going 30 or
Oh, yeah, it's
70,
from
90
when-
days.
It's from when you get the permit.
Oh, okay.
And-
I'd like to
And
really
then
see
nobody
permitted
sees,
use.
nobody sees work happening.
I always figured this
These are-
Doesn't trigger their
the
mind.
first line,
Right.
the first line I thought
me
was.
see.
I really hope we at least adopt,
The others are different.
spend a little extra money,
Personally,
and I call them the real estate signs.
Oh,
I think
permanent.
that makes a
Each
lot of
of, yeah,
sense.
each of them are different.
So boy, you
yeah.
drive down the
Yeah.
street, you're gonna see it, oh my, what do they build?
Right, and I don't
You
think
know
that
what I-
needs to be in the ordinance.
That's
I think
good.
it can be an administrative.
Yep,
Doesn't hurt to put it in.
Okay, so looking at our current districts, it seems like the only area that we might put these new conditions in if we decide to go in this direction would be high density
HDR.
HDR.
That's-
Looking at village mixed is the only one that has the 35-foot principal structure, but it actually doesn't have details on the
Accessory.
footprint and structure of the building.
Right.
And I don't know why that is. That was a question I had previously.
It would seem like it oughta.
I know, but it doesn't. It's not in our current regs, and
Yeah.
it's not in the revised ones, and it's the only, it looks to be the only district that doesn't have mention of footprint structure for accessory structures.
I didn't
Some of
know.
it's inertia. We had, when we were still a village until the 90s, that when the merger happened, the bylaws for the village and the bylaws for the town just kind of got jammed
Yeah.
together, and there were differences and gaps. And sometimes it's just oversight from the past that's just never been
Yeah.
tidied up.
Okay,
So you would wanna add in there the accessory structure
well,
requirements.
the thing is, when
Or
you're,
limitations.
when you look at village mixed, it's
There's no-
quite a large area.
And
it's-
there's no principal structure size either.
Correct. Yeah, so it seems
I
like
thought you
I can build whatever I like if I live in a village mix.
I thought you said that like Main Street, they lowered it from 50 to 40, the height of the
That's,
building.
they did, but that's village business. This is village mix,
Village
which is
mix.
another district. Village district, or village mix
Mix
is some on Rockydale, Lovers Lane, Hewitt Road area, a little bit of Pine Street, sort of tucked back there, heading towards Plank.
And they can be up to 35 feet.
Correct, but there are no details on how big your principal structure can be, or in terms of.
Yeah, it says principal structure, NA.
Yeah. So I wonder if we wanna change that, or if that's something that the planning commission should
Do we
look
want to
at.
at least kick it back to them and say,
ask
Oh,
them.
we gotta fix it.
right,
We gotta give
Needs
a
fixing.
suggest, we gotta.
Suggest a
give
number?
Suggestion, because that's what we're doing right now.
So I guess my suggestion would be to follow high-density residential and use the same information for structure, footprint structure as high-density residential, and put that as
Which is
village
what,
mix.
5,000?
Yes,
and
And that's you get 5,000 square foot on a 10,000 square foot lot. You're not
So-
gonna have
You're not
a
gonna
whole
find-
lot of
you're gonna
room
have
for
a postage
accessory
stamp with
building.
the-
right.
so if we lose, I'm gonna give you an example, if we lose two buildings in the middle of Main Street on the north side, like we had a fire in 74 there. When Bigger and I were just in high school, those have gotta be close to 40 or 50 feet.
Well, they get to be.
Now, can they go back to that size, or
get
they
to
gotta
be-
be shorter?
No, they can be rebuilt. If you have changing something now is below height-wise what the existing buildings are, that makes them non-conforming structures. If there's a fire loss or something like that, they get to be rebuilt.
Within 6 months.
There's time limits and, yeah, and so, it can be brought back, and there's a, that's also a required statute that gives us some wiggle room. We can be more liberal than the state standards on that,
Yeah.
that was if we could allow more time. Then there's a minimum set, just
Alright.
like there is for ADU, but you can build it back.
Okay,
Why I mentioned that is going to be leading to my question, Kevin, to you, is, you go through some towns and you'll see a structure's been burned out. I went through Bethlehem, New Hampshire, for the last 2 years, and this building has been burned out, an old building.
Yeah.
And I asked to stop the store, and I said, what's that? I said, that's still burned, and haven't tore that down? No, it's an arson case, and it doesn't, it's go back to that, if you don't build it within 6 months, and that's why I think some of these places don't get torn down, because, well, I'm non-conformant, but I can build on the same footprint if I get all my settlement done and my insurance money, then I can build.
Yeah.
And we're looking at an eyesore, I believe they're looking at an eyesore, where they've been their second or third, going on to their
Yeah,
third
well,
year.
there's a difference between the burned out structure and the right to rebuild. You can, towns, when they face this problem, usually end up passing a public nuisance ordinance, not through zoning, that declares those.
I read that in
dilapidated-
Rutland on Friday.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
property
they
down there.
declare them a public nuisance and they have to be ripped down within.
But if it's
certain-
being held for a trial,
That is pretty rare. I mean, people would get in there and do their forensics.
Right.
You'd have the experts in there and they would do what they need to do. I can't imagine that the building itself would need to be preserved as a hulk.
yeah, because it's only gonna get worse as time.
But
goes
what
on.
I'm saying is
Lose
maybe
evidence.
doesn't have to be
Find it the
preserved
first
as
time, you're not
evidence
gonna
or anything
find it
like
3
that,
years
but
later.
once it's torn down and it's a clear lot, and then finally, the owner of the lot gets his settlement in a year and a half or 14 months and say, well, you had a year to build and you didn't, now you're non-compliant, you can't build back there. Can't even build on the footprint you had.
Yeah, I don't know, what do ours say for how quickly you must?
I thought it was a year.
Why
I
are
thought-
you bringing this up? I mean,
Yeah.
where are you going with this?
Well, I see it in towns that, buildings that are, we don't have a lot of fires, I'm not saying, but, non-conforming lots, if you don't build back on them in 6 months, so you could have a house that's, a family has struggled and the death, take a place up on Rocky Dale. That could be tied up for 6 months, a year and a half, and then finally it's inhabitable, you gotta tear it down, or they tore it down, and now you can't build back on the same lot, can't even build the same footprint, because, you're over your time limit. And
One of the
Yeah.
reasons why, one of the rationales behind that type of provision is because, going back to what Kevin said at the beginning, that the purpose of the regulations is to implement the town plan. And since in some cases, those structures might not be in conformance with that vision, the new vision, the current vision. And so as things, over time, the goal is to
Eliminate
make those changes to bring things into compliance with that
Yeah, that's
vision.
That's why it's strict, and, because the goal is to eliminate the
Right.
nonconformities
Right.
over time.
Right.
But the statute on nonconformities gives the town a lot of flexibility. We have to deal with it, but it doesn't have any numbers in it the same way that the ADUs do, except the time period for rebuild has to be no less than 6 months, so we're not wedded into that. Towns can provide more time.
Okay, can we move on to the next one? Have we beat ADUs and accessory dwellings?
Was there decision on the dimensional stuff?
I think you're talking about like for the village
The village
mix.
mix?
Yeah, that we're gonna
incorporate the.
Same
That we're
as-
gonna have the, follow the HDR, same info for the footprint structure for
I
the
ju-
primary and accessory dwelling. Which, we're changing accessory dwelling piece, or accessory structure, to be 25 feet or 80% of the primary residence, whichever is greater.
And the footprint, square footage would be 900.
And I
We
guess,
we would make that the same, to match the ADU information.
For, what do you got, village mix, where you're talking about that?
So you're
accessory
decreasing the size of
From
the,
Well,
1,000
because-
to
Maybe that
900?
makes sense in the high density, maybe 900 square feet footprint, maybe that.
I'm just asking the
You're right,
question.
you're just
You're
asking.
But
You're decreasing the size of my garage by 10 feet,
right,
or
By 100
square
feet.
100 square
Well,
feet, but
100
10 by
square feet,
10.
10 by 10,
So,
yeah.
So
we-
if it's a,
a question, if a garage is standalone with an ADU above it, does the square foot change if it's an attached to the house? Walk right out of the house into the garage, does it change?
I wouldn't think so.
no, it's the same.
They'd be measured by the habitable floor. If it's an attached structure, so you've got one structure, then your metric is the habitable floor area of the house, which does not include the garage. So if you have an attached garage with space above it to put in the apartment, that's fine.
But it seems like so they're, with the 900-foot use of the ADU, that applies to all districts. And there are a number of districts that have the ability to have accessory use building there and an ADU.
well, if you have a 5,000 square foot house, you also can have a 1,500 foot ADU,
Right.
because it's 30%.
Whichever's greater.
30%, yeah, that's what I said,
What's-
30%.
Okay, what's that change? Just read that on there.
Mhm.
So it's 900 square feet or,
No, it's 30%
oh, sorry.
Of the
of
habitable
the
floor.
habitable floor.
So where does,
Accessory unit does not exceed the greater of 30% of the total habitable floor area of the main single-family dwelling or
Okay.
900
Okay,
square
good.
feet, whichever is
Yeah.
greater.
So-
You have to
yeah,
add
that's-
whichever is greater.
No, you don't need to, because it's earlier in the sentence, you just read it,
yeah,
the greater of.
Okay.
okay,
The greater
I wanna make sure that
30%,
we're not
that's right.
limiting, okay. So then in high density residential, we're saying that the structure is gonna be 900 square feet. The accessory building
The accessory structure footprint.
can be 900 square feet. And that's essentially what your ADU would be. Well, I guess it depends.
Well, it could
if
be
it's 30%.
more. So I mean,
Oh, that's true, because it's based on.
I mean,
the
I don't
building,
think,
yes.
I don't know that we need to change the 1,000 feet.
Well,
This
that's-
is gonna determine what the size is.
Okay,
Right.
Well, I guess the question is,
yeah,
you know, with an HDR, maybe if, given what we saw on Garfield Street, we would still have those complaints, I think, even if it was
Right.
1,000 square foot. Maybe 1,000 is kind of too big
Mhm.
in the HDR, when you've already got a house,
Mhm.
the HDR is pretty well built out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the setbacks are small.
Mhm.
You put 1,000 square foot building
Yeah.
footprint tucked into a corner, and it's 35 feet high or however high.
Yeah.
You've got that looming,
yes,
So if you say 900 square feet, say it's gonna be 900 square feet, that's the habitable space, so inside may be 900 square feet, but the outside footprint may be bigger than that, right?
Only by 100 square feet.
well, that's what we're talking about.
That's what we're
Do-
talking-
do-
yeah,
do-
that's
Do you just get rid of that problem of the 1,000 square foot outbuilding and the 900 square
yeah,
foot?
I know.
And just collapse them?
I think so.
You
I
can
think-
either
I think
go
in
up to 1,000 or go down to 900.
I think that in HDR, our densest and smallest lots, I think it should be 900 for the accessory building. I think that hopefully moves in a direction where those kind of structures can happen, but we are limiting the size of what they can be. We're doing that by both height and physical size, but that still allows you to build an ADU
Mhm.
or have a garage with an ADU above it,
Mhm.
because you can do up to 25 feet.
You know what we don't
Or the
want,
80%.
you know what we don't wanna force in that area is if I've got 20,000 square foot of property and it meets everything,
Yeah,
then I could turn around and subdivide it and build a 5,000 square foot structure there, 35 feet tall.
Cause that's the primary structure.
Right. And then-
Is that a bad
Then
thing?
each would be 10,000
exactly.
square feet,
right,
each.
Each lot, if I
Each lot.
had 20,000 square foot of land.
It's called infill.
right, I think that's okay. I mean, I
Okay,
think we
well,
I think
just-
we wanna
I
build
mean-
housing. I
I
mean,
mean,
it's
you-
what our regulations are now.
Some of the
Concerns.
lots, I mean, that Garfield lot would be close,
Yeah.
size wise.
For the house
You
in
know,
back.
if they wanted to subdivide it and,
Yeah,
I don't know, they could subdivide it, would the state allow them, because they don't have,
I don't
without the
think so.
septic.
but I mean,
well,
but
you could
have
do a
choice.
septic easement on the other lot because the other house is smaller. I mean, there are ways of,
Well, up on Mountain Street, there's the nice large lot, the Bushies, is that right?
Yeah.
So they've had that for a long
Mm-hmm.
time, and but that could be subdivided, if they decide to sell, they could subdivide that to smaller, but I mean, that's what we want, the idea is that.
Fill that in.
well, you got right next to Bazers, the Hap Smith's old lot. I don't know
Right.
who lives there now. I mean, there's room enough for
Yeah.
another house in there.
Yeah,
Oh, there's some
So-
big lots out north of the school
Right?
and Devon Lane, in that area, and some of
Right.
those have been getting subdivided
right.
and filled in, and that's,
That's the whole
and
idea.
that's what the
That's what we
town
want.
plan is, true.
Michelle,
So I think we have our ADU, a potential ADU solution. It's one district, and,
on the height wise, we got that.
well, it's a combination of things. It's the height, which accommodates whatever size building you have, whether it's a single story or two-story. We're saying that it's 25 feet or 80%. And we're slightly reducing what the overall square footage, the footprint can be for the buildings. 1,000 now, and we're recommending that be changed to 900. So it's a slightly smaller footprint for an accessory building.
So you don't get, in order to get anything over 900 feet, you've gotta have over 3,000 feet of
House.
livable house now.
Is
Right.
that, is that the?
Which is a big house.
Yeah.
Is that the base square footage or
Yes,
No, it's
No,
living
it's
space.
not.
living space?
Living space.
Upstairs.
Habitable floor area.
yes, there we go.
Habitable floor area.
Oh, I don't care if you sleep in my garage.
And it still allows people to build a garage and an ADU. It's a little bit more limiting in terms of the
So a
size.
1,500 square foot house, 30% is around, that's a 500 square foot garage? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's still at that, it's still 900.
Still
Yeah.
900.
Yeah, you're building.
Whichever is greater.
Yes.
Right,
So if you had,
I'd like to see
if
it a
you had,
little larger.
if you had 900 square feet, so in 28, I'm figuring a 28-foot
It's
garage
30
wide.
by 30.
28, well, so a lot of garages are, if you have two cars, you want 28 feet, right,
Yeah.
probably, so that's still 32 feet deep, you can do it. You
Yeah.
can still have a two-car garage.
It's 30 by 30, Joel. That's
Yeah,
a
I
good
know,
sized
yeah.
garage.
That's a good sized garage.
All right,
what's the next one?
I was thinking it was a little small, but once I look at it that way,
Right.
that's,
Kevin, let's do your flood
Yeah.
zone thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
we
right.
could do that.
So on that thought, not wherever we say
Kevin, you
900
want
square
this?
foot,
Wait a minute, go ahead.
wherever we say 900 square foot or 1,000 square foot, let's put in footprint.
Footprint,
I'd
yeah,
like
So,
to-
because people get confused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes it easier for the zoning administrator.
yep.
I'd like it to 1,000 because I'm looking at a 32-foot long garage by 30-foot wide, two-car garage
In
with storage.
HDR?
No, with a storage space in the back
Yeah.
for lawnmowers and all that type of stuff. You know, that's what my back of my garage is. My livable garage
Are
where
you,
my
are you,
vehicles
are you?
is 28 by 28,
Are
but
you
it's
in
got
HDR?
12 foot in the back and 12 foot on the side.
yeah,
Open.
mine was 28 by 30 and I
Yeah.
had space all the way down
Yeah.
the side for my lawnmower, my snowmobile, my motorcycle. I mean, I see what you're saying, Joel, but
Guy
I
wants
mean,
to have a
the
little
idea of
work,
the 900.
guy
is
wants to
that-
have a little workshop back there or something.
Right.
you better have a bigger house.
That's right.
Put an
I
accessory.
mean, the
building.
idea is that we're listening to the public with regard to the size, and the idea in the smaller lots, the denser area of the village, you're hopefully putting a little bit more restriction on that in terms of those accessories. You're allowing people to do it, but it's just a little bit smaller. Hopefully, again, keeping the character and matching buildings that are there.
And I think, there's the key word right there. There's the key
Well, we
word.
can't say that.
We can't say that.
Right.
Yeah, keep the character.
No, I know, but I mean,
I know why,
that's,
we can't.
that's why we would reduce that size instead of keeping it.
I'm not sure we heard so much about the size of the, if it still meets the setbacks versus the character.
So
Well,
We
Kevin,
can't do anything about
We
the,
did on Garfield Street, definitely, when people came to that
now,
meeting,
you guys, yes,
they were talking, legitimately, understandably, saying that, look at the size of that building, it's tucked into that back corner, I can't see, you know, it really did change.
Oh, it really affected the neighborhood, yes, I agree.
Yeah.
but it would.
Aside from the fact that it's 200 feet too big,
Big,
Yeah,
200.
the building could be just what it
yeah,
is.
and it was, and a building that big was,
there before.
well, no, it was oppressive to the neighbors, you know?
But they didn't see the garage that was there before that was bigger than that.
Yeah, I don't remember that, I hear that, yeah.
There was a
But
big
that's-
carriage garage out back there,
Yeah.
wasn't
But
there?
that's-
Yeah, there was one there and there was one on Haps. They
Hap
were-
Smith had a
There was
huge
that
carriage
much
drive.
room between them.
Yeah, you know, so that's, they felt it, people, it was,
Oh, yeah.
must have been gone for a while, and then they,
Gone for a long while,
they felt,
30
the-
plus
they felt the
years.
size of that new building and felt it was
Yeah.
really having an impact on,
Their quality of life.
yeah.
No,
Interesting.
I get it.
I
Okay,
get it.
Okay,
so
so,
we beat that one.
Yeah.
So I,
The only thing
you
I
doing
added to
808?
this, Kevin, was,
is this for the
Are
flood?
we-
yeah, the flood thing, is that hearing shall not be scheduled until the 30 days have
that's, yeah,
expired.
that's right, you know, I'd like to have, I think that makes sense to have that in
Okay,
there.
we'll add that in there, yeah.
Just for guidance for the zoning administrator, and,
Mhm.
So what are your floodplain recommendations? You had a concern?
this is it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
was
is
to,
Work
Make-
we had to put in.
to make the completed application, go from the zoning administrator to the state,
Oh, yes.
right from the start.
Right.
Because the current regulation says the
It's the other one.
DRB sends it,
Yes.
so we end up with, at a minimum, 2 hearings.
Okay, yeah.
So what changed? Michelle, did you suggest?
After
Charge
that,
of 30
that first
days.
paragraph, at the end of that first paragraph.
Wait,
It can be the second sentence.
Okay.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can you just repeat? I
A
can't-
hearing shall not be scheduled until the 30 days have expired.
Hearing.
And we can put that before that last paragraph where it says a permit may be issued.
Yeah.
So a hearing,
Or you say the hearing shall be scheduled more than 30 days after, shall be scheduled more than 30 days after, the zoning administrator submits the application to,
listen to the tape.
Did you hear her?
I didn't catch it all.
I got it written down, that one I can send it to you.
So 30 days is the state's,
yeah,
they have 30 days to respond?
that's up by state statute, right, and so if they don't respond, we go ahead, and so everything in the flood zone, other than almost, any structure is conditional use, so it all comes to the DRB. And, so, the second sentence is kind of, in that first paragraph, is kind of off, in the sense that what we really want is for the hearing not to take place for more than 30 days. If that's what we put in there, then we don't even need that last sentence.
Are we,
The permit can't be issued more than 30 days.
are we cutting it too close with the mail and everything, and it, could we just say 40 days? So then you've got a week or,
Well, you wanna schedule, well, they've got, with email, I don't think it's a big deal. We're sending that stuff out by email, that's what we,
okay,
done, and so I guess I'd change the second sentence of the first paragraph to deal with the scheduling of the hearing, and if that's more than 30, if that's after 30 days from transmission to the state, then the permit will be at least 30 days out, so.
I'd like 2 words put in there, under comments or expiration of the 30 days from the date applicant was submitted. Expiration of more than 30 days.
Yeah.
So if you
Well,
don't get
I
it
would
for
get rid of it.
35, we made our obligation of at least
Right.
30.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
they have that time to, and the reason they put it to 30 days is so that it doesn't end up being dragged out for 90
Right, yeah,
or a year.
yeah.
But they can slow things down too, if they find something else they want and they don't get it.
Or like A. Johnson's, it was going through Act 250 at the same time, and it was on a much longer track. And yeah, I would just get rid of I would just get rid of this whole second sentence, Joel, and just
A
talk
permit
about.
may be issued, get rid of that.
Yeah.
Just say a hearing shall be scheduled
more
more than 30 days after
And
the
then,
ZA submits, okay.
and then we don't need to, the permit will automatically be more than 30 days out.
Okay.
I noticed on that same page, the second paragraph under section 808, it refers to the zoning administrator as him. So would changing the gender references in the document, especially if it's elsewhere also, if we,
I don't think that's substantive.
okay.
No, but we're gonna do substantive.
Yeah.
So if we change it to him or her, just kind of make that clarification.
Or
just avoid it. and
Or
just say
there,
there's-
but-
say-
Yeah.
Or just avoid it and say that.
The zoning administrator.
You can keep saying the ZA. and-
The ZA there, what's,
Yeah.
furnished by the ZA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I would make sure that's changed throughout the document.
Gender neutral.
Yeah, exactly. There are some formatting things, just with the different districts, stuff got pushed to other pages.
Right.
So we wanna be careful of that. It's not in the current ones, but it just got changed, I think because additions of text. And so we need to be careful of that.
Back to my sewer question district, should we put in there if available?
If it's not available, it
It's not,
can't
they're not gonna be able to
happen.
do it,
Yeah.
yeah.
But could a developer go through all the permitting process,
No,
get a
because we
permit
still
and then
have
say,
to go
hey, I
forward.
know, you guys can't give me sewer?
That should probably be the
If
first
we're-
question he's gonna
Right.
ask. When he does the
Right.
permit, I would
Well,
assume that.
that's
our
why,
CA is gonna
that's
say-
why I wanted the
Right.
2 words, if available.
Mhm.
It just covers us.
I don't know where you're talking.
Somewhere I saw it here.
It's in village business.
It's in the village business.
Yeah, this is just the.
Yeah, that's just the floodplain one.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I hear what you're saying, Joel, but I think the fact that a developer, whoever would need to come to the ZA and have a discussion about that. And then at that point.
I mean,
they would find out
everybody
what's-
knows that we don't have any sewage.
Well, and
available.
you need a wastewater permit,
Right.
even so when there's, when you go to the state for a wastewater permit and you're getting your wastewater done through town sewer, it's an exception to the wastewater permit requirement, but you have to have the
You have
engineer.
to check the
Right.
box.
Well, no, the engineer has to certify that there's capacity,
Right,
you
exactly.
know, and so the engineer talks to the person who runs the sewage treatment plant, or the town has an sewer allocation, so
Yeah.
it all gets taken care of, people
Okay,
kind
I
of.
just wanna make sure.
Yeah. People,
It is taken
outside
it's,
of this,
so
yeah.
there's, the fact that there's municipal sewer does not take the state out of it, you're still getting a wastewater permit from the state under under a particular exemption, and you have to file the engineer's letter with the, DEC, district office, and record it.
I mean, you know, if it was a certain building that said their allocation is 100 gallons a day presently, and they wanna go to 1,000 gallons a day, no,
Ain't
ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Then the
You-
developer
Because Val's
knows.
gotta give that
Which
letter
is
to
only
them.
2 bedrooms, so.
Mhm.
Right,
Okay,
Going back
Yes,
to the floodplain stuff and
Yeah.
the sentence that was just deleted.
Yep.
Reading the sections ahead of that, it said, not all the permits will require a hearing. There's,
Well, right, but any structure does. There are some like agricultural and open space uses that are permitted uses, so there's no
Right.
hearing.
right,
But anything you build, other than like a, little tiny shed in the floodplain, it's conditional use going to the DRB.
so, I'm not understanding the rationale then for eliminating that sentence.
Because we're replacing it, you mean the sentence that begins, a permit may be issued?
Right,
Because we're putting in a sentence that says that the hearing shall be scheduled at least 30 days.
but it might not need a hearing, is my
No.
point.
No. We've got to,
For those things that, for non-structure permit applications, a hearing is not necessarily required.
yeah, we've got to be, are we in the conditional use section? Yeah, that's a good point, Val, it's what I'm talking about is for formatting, you know, if it's, well, no, let's see, there is no hearing at all.
Yeah,
they're not
in
building
the
a
previous sections, paragraphs, the ZA can just issue permits.
Yeah, but
Not
it's-
everything needs a hearing, so
Right,
I'm questioning
Yeah.
the rationale or the
Yeah,
effectiveness of it. I think,
Well, it talks about proposed
Yeah,
development.
that's what it
It's
says.
located within the area of the special
Yeah.
flood hazard by procedure established in section 805, then they have to go through this.
home development could be non-structural, I suppose.
It's open space uses that are exempt.
should we spell that out then, or just what
I
you
think it
just
is
said?
in a different location, recreational
Well, see,
uses.
yeah,
Picnic
and,
grounds, tennis courts.
you know, it procedurally follows the paragraph of, this is where we need some roadmaps, you know, because the previous sentence, if the proposed use does not meet the requirements of 806, the ZA shall refer all applicants to the DRB. And that makes,
So 806 allows the non,
yeah, and so at the top of your page here, those 1, 2, 3, those are the things that the zoning
Right, that's
administrator can issue.
806.
Yeah, that's where the ZA can issue a permit.
oh, that's 806, it's just not labeled there, gotcha.
Well, no, it's on the previous page.
Yeah.
That page.
But 1 is there, so it's,
Or adding a reference, a permit may be issued per section 806.
76, so.
Yes, page 75.
or a hearing shall be scheduled, whatever that language was.
Yeah, so it's just weak structuring, so the way the statute is written, it's clear that the 30 days is only for conditional use applications that are going to the DRB.
Oh, so the 30-day notice period does not apply to 806 at all?
Right.
Well, that's
Except,
interesting.
let's see.
Yeah.
See, that's not
Its uses
clear.
shall be permitted within the area of special flood hazard to the extent they are not prohibited by any other ordinance, and provided that they do not require the erection of structures or storage of materials and equipment, the borrowing of fill from outside the flood hazard area, channel modifications or relocations that do not obstruct flood flows. Blah, 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 and then it gives you those three, 1, 2, 3.
And that new paragraph doesn't distinguish between those sections.
Except as.
Well, section 8 says permits are required for all proposed new construction, substantial improvements and other development as defined by this article. Zoning permit act will be submitted by the ZA on forms who shall determine on application whether or not the proposed development is located within the area of special flood. If the proposed use will be located in the area of special flood and meets the requirements of section 806 of these regulations, the ZA shall issue a permit. The proposed does not meet the requirements of section 8, the ZA shall refer applicants to develop. Well, and this is where it says,
But then that amended paragraph suggests that every application goes to gets forwarded to the Agency of Natural Resources regardless.
Yeah.
well, I see, that's funny, I don't read that way, because you're in
Only
the
the
section,
ones
and
that-
only the ones that require a permit.
Only the ones that go to, that require
It
permits
says,
go.
if the proposed use will be located in the area of special flood and meets the requirements of section 806, the ZA shall issue a permit. If the proposed use does
Issue a
not
permit.
meet the requirement, but it says if it does not meet the requirement of
Then it-
section 806, then the ZA shall refer the applicant to the development
Right.
review board. I mean, at that point where he says the zoning administrator shall refer applicants to the development review board, that's where I think it says, if it proposed use does not meet the requirements of section 806, then upon receipt of the completed application, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, so.
We lost that.
Does that make sense?
A while ago.
Yeah, I didn't want to read the
Look
whole
at
thing.
Well, how, so how would you
How
word that then?
D1.
What do you wanna do in
You
terms
see,
of,
you're in the conditional use
to make it
part,
clear?
where, that's where you bounce things off the state first. You're definitely dealing with what's subject to conditional use approval by the DRB.
Well, the way I'm reading this, regardless, a permit's required. Whether it can be issued administratively or not, I mean, but a permit is required. And so, what I'm reading in this amended paragraph is that all applications have to get forwarded regardless of whether they can be issued by the zoning administrator or not.
Well, so we can certainly clarify that.
But that's how I read it.
Yeah, well,
Well,
that, it can be read either way, which is bad.
Right.
So-
That's what keeps you guys in business.
No, you wanna take out the ambiguity by saying if it's a conditional you make it clear that it's for a conditional use application, that it gets referred on.
So I would keep
So, like-
the sentence that
Hold on.
was originally gonna be eliminated and have another one added that says, if a hearing is required, or if DRB approval is required, a hearing shall not be scheduled until blah, 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 blah. So kind of
Well, I was just
distinguish,
thinking of making a new paragraph saying if the proposed use does not meet the requirements of section 806, because if it meets the requirements, then the ZA can issue a permit,
right,
and it doesn't require amount.
but it still requires, according to this, it still requires the Agency of Natural Resources to be provided
Yeah.
Well,
days.
that's where I was gonna
And
go,
that's-
is saying if the proposed use does not meet the requirements of section 806, then you start this paragraph. Upon receipt of that completed application, the ZA shall submit a copy of the application and supporting information to the state of
But
Vermont.
even simpler, you can just say when they have to do that, and that's when, upon receipt of an application for conditional use. That eliminates the whole 806 permitted use part of it. and then it gets forwarded down, it's crystal
Okay.
clear.
Okay, so in other words,
Take out that, if the proposed use does not meet the requirements,
Yeah,
then
you
you
don't
put
need
in, you put in, upon receipt of complete application for conditional use, the ZA shall submit a copy of the application.
That gets us there.
so
Real
there's
muddy working in the floodplain.
Yeah,
So there's agreement then that for permits that the zoning administrator can just issue administratively, that Agency of Natural Resource review is not required.
Yeah, the
Is it-
statute doesn't require it.
So, okay,
Cause they're not building anything.
right,
Okay.
it's only if it's, yeah.
No,
So-
that's a good catch, Val, because I read it the other way, but that's the, you know, that's, oh, I read it the other way. Well, now we've got an ambiguity, we gotta clean it up.
Kevin, outdoor plant nursery. Is that a hoop building, plastic greenhouse,
I don't think so.
or just, they gotta be outdoors?
Yeah, I mean, if it's a structure,
Outdoor is outdoor.
Yep,
yeah, if it's a structure in the floodplain, it's conditional use.
I just,
You can get a, you know, it's gonna be open so that it's not gonna increase the floodwaters, and, but it's also gotta be secure enough that it's not going downstream. That's the other part of the floodplain, like We're
like
permitting-
tennis courts, cement or pavement?
I think so.
pavement's okay, it's not a, you know, cause that's, what the flood hazard rigs are worried about is stuff going downstream and causing damage and blocking up culverts and things, and displacing floodwater. Right, if you've got something that's taking up space, it makes the rest of the floodwater higher elsewhere.
Like in '04, when the deck came off of the back of the house down there that we condemned, that got condemned and covered the culvert and took the
Then
road
Ross
out.
Brick,
Yeah.
took the road out.
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah,
state come in and said, oh, the flood caused the,
The road to cut.
no, the flood washed out and under the abutments for the bridge,
Yeah,
so it needs to be replaced. And I said, like hell it did. I said, the deck was across there, none of the water went through there. Oh, he said, this is FEMA money. It definitely happened that way.
So
that's how it happened.
it says here, picnic grounds.
Okay, stop reading into
Yeah.
more of this that we're not changing.
Yeah.
Picnic grounds, is that a picnic table? Yeah, big people wash down the street. Or not?
yeah, it's, Lord's Prayer Rock Park,
Right.
it's a picnic ground.
Or Eagle Park.
Mhm.
Park.
Okay, so we've done the floodplains, we did the ADU, and then you had questions about business yard.
Well, I might think I'm the only one, but, so we're to the definition of business yard.
So what's your concern with that?
I personally think that last, where it starts with trash recycling and garbage business, from there on out, should be deleted.
What page?
101.
Well, we can already take out trash recycling and garbage business, do not
Right,
constitute
because they
business
don't,
yards,
they
because
aren't allowed
it's,
anywhere.
yes.
They're not allowed anywhere, then how do we do it over the town line?
It's
I
a
don't know, but
mobile.
it's not a use
transfer
in
station.
any of our districts.
Well, they're using that for recycling and just,
Right.
Well, I brought the point up last week, you know, the Johnson Lumber Company. What if a Casella said, I'm getting out of Rutland City? And Kevin's neighbor in Rutland Town, I don't know if he's in Rutland City or Rutland Town, said, I'm gonna go up and buy all that, put all my containers up there.
They couldn't, because there's no use
It's not allowed.
permitted for that type of business in any of the districts.
Right, that's a.
but if he's not doing business there, if he's just storing?
I don't, I
mean,
never
it's equipment.
focused on
I
it
don't know.
before, but
I'm just asking the
currently,
question.
Just asking.
you know, currently it's not allowed anywhere.
Yeah.
And, there was, Chris Acker had a CU application on Hewitt Road.
Yeah.
I don't think he's done anything with it, but there was some, and that was for working on his vehicles and
Right.
that kind of stuff, those things. And there was some scuttlebutt that his son, I guess his son has a recycling business or something, trash business, and.
He's
Sold
got
it.
part of it, he got part of
Okay,
it.
well, but the, you know, so,
He's just got the containers,
yeah, so it's,
the roll-offs.
I guess there's a judgment call there about, you know, should it be allowed someplace? Should it be allowed in commercial?
Right.
You know, it seems,
I mean, it seems that would be the place to put it, if it's allowed, but.
or in RA5.
Wonder if the town plan speaks to it at all?
It just
That
says
would be,
they're
that
not
would be a
allowed.
question for the planning commission to look through on their next round.
Yeah,
is
I mean-
if that wants to be considered to be put into a use in
Yeah,
any
I
district.
think it might be able, that proviso that a business yard doesn't include this, I'm not sure that it was on everybody's mind that it's not allowed anyplace.
Right.
And when I was sitting in the back here at the previous meeting with Chris, I said, I look at this, it's not anywhere. He pointed to one and said, what, landfill? I said, it's not a landfill.
Yeah,
You know, and landfills aren't, no, we don't have to restrict those, they're not going anywhere.
right.
There's never gonna be a new one. So maybe we should have it someplace.
Well, I think of those versus, okay, somebody bought that hole down there and put in the container, storage container boxes business, and they're selling them. There is a huge difference, but they're still the same. Cause one of them brings a smell and one doesn't. I think that's where the trash and recycling is, because of the possible, contaminant of, rats and mice and all that, animals into the containers versus the storage units, containers. I'd say those roll off, or those 40-foot sea containers.
So for the business yards, this is obviously put in to, I guess, lessen the impact of business yards in the
Kind of compromise.
areas that they're allowed. But you're feeling that you wanna take that out?
I just think it's too restrictive. We don't have enough, to me, we don't have enough, lots that have that direct access to a paved road. In
But I think
RA5.
that the paved road hasn't changed from our current regulations, correct?
Yeah, I think
Paved
this
road
is
in
new.
there.
This
Yeah, I
is
don't-
new.
yeah.
It's underlined.
If it's red, it's.
Yeah,
Right.
Well, I know that, but I thought paved road was already in our regulations.
for business yard?
Yeah, is that
No.
a new thing then?
No, let's see. Business yard, the current definition says a site used primarily to store and maintain construction, landscaping, or similar heavy equipment and other materials or facilities customarily required by a contractor in the building, landscaping, or construction-related trades or similar businesses, where the majority of business takes place off-site. It may include associated office space or enclosed areas for vehicle or equipment repair or maintenance, does not include regular or ongoing sale of equipment. So there's no,
Okay.
there's nothing about what kind of road access you have to have.
There's a big building size,
Yeah,
I mean, that's, my shop is 7,000 feet, 7,500 square feet, and that's not a big building.
No,
And we only allow 5,000?
yeah.
there isn't a commercial building around it.
Well, this is
This is
in
an
that,
RA5.
this is an RA5, but still, that's, that back to my point of wanting to build a horse barn, that would be the only way I could
Yeah.
get around it, would be to get 4 horses to be able to build
Right.
the building the size I wanted.
And then stay there for a couple of years and.
Yeah.
But I mean, you have the size is in the commercial, which is ideally where people.
But we're allowing this use in
RA5.
RA5.
Yeah,
Right.
it's only an RA5.
And it's not in commercial as well?
Right, and we've heard lots of discussion about
I think it is.
asking for the removal of it from RA5, which we could consider doing. And thereby keeping business yard perhaps without these limitations in the commercial district.
But the commercial district is small, and there's not a lot of availability in there.
Right.
It is allowed as a conditional use in the commercial district, so it's treated the same as RA5.
And it's conditional use in RA5 will be if we vote to pass these, correct?
It's
No,
already
it's not a
conditional use in
conditional-
RA5.
You said it's a conditional use in C1, commercial?
Commercial and RA5, those are the
Right.
two places where it's conditional use in both those
No,
places.
So it just can't slop in and get business yard, you
Right,
gotta
you
go
have
through
to- have
the
to-
process.
right,
People
have
get
to
a
go through
chance
the
to
process.
voice their opinion.
Right.
Yeah, commercial is obviously much smaller than RA5.
RA5 is just the more logical place to have it. I mean, you don't wanna indulge mix, you don't wanna indulge business, you don't want it in high density residential, you know, where you limit people to where they can actually have a business.
Well, a business yard, not just any business, you can still have a number of businesses in all of those areas.
Correct, but if they have any type of equipment that they wanna store there,
Right,
then you're gonna be looking at a
You know, I
business.
think,
Any like a landscaper or small excavation company or,
And there's a lot of them.
right,
right, and there's still, I mean, the idea too, even though it's in RA5, it's still a conditional use.
right.
It still goes before the DRB, and you
Yep.
can impose conditions on a particular yard.
Yep.
mean, you have
And, you know, neighbors are notified and can come to the public meetings and discuss it.
Right.
So it's not like it's just a permitted use and any kind of sized yard can open up.
Well, it's certain neighbors, it's not everybody on the road.
Well, anyone
Like,
can come to it.
anybody can come to the
They can
meeting.
come to it,
Well,
but they're,
Yeah, but
But if it's
the
a
definition of interested person for other property owners who might have an interest is immediate neighborhood.
Somebody that borders you.
Well, that, but more broader than that, immediate neighborhood, which is mushy.
Yeah.
And the way the environmental court applies that standard is it's supposed to have an impact on you. So different kinds of uses have more
Different impact, yeah.
more far-flung impacts. And so it's a kind of a sliding.
I mean,
scale.
so they're pile driving stuff for the solar field. And so I'm
Yeah.
up on Mount Terrace, so it echoes across and the
Yeah.
whole village. So if they actually did that permanently, that was their business over there to do that, I would be I mean,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Because I can hear it. It's
Right.
echoing around, it
Right.
reflects off
Yeah,
the mountain
so-
behind
right.
me.
But,
It's usually.
but would you
usually
even
it's-
think, if I was gonna open a business up over there to Hammer Pylons, would you even think to be an interested party until I started pounding?
Right, I know, that's the thing.
Yeah, you know.
but
they're-
under
they're-
conditional use review, you, as the DRB, have the ability
That's
to
right.
look at noise,
Yeah.
look at traffic, look at
Conformal
all
standards,
sorts of
lighting, all
things,
that
so.
stuff,
Yeah.
right.
That's
So-
true.
Right,
yeah.
I mean, he
so-
gets the chance, you guys get the chance to
Right.
put those restrictions in there
And, you know,
if
and
there's some
we're-
concern.
We were supposed to make the call, I make the call, on who's an interested person, and I'm pretty expansive, with it. And I don't think the Lathrop gravel pit case was the hardest one for who's interested, but even there with the traffic concerns, it was a pretty wide area of the town. And so that's a good example. Sometimes it's really tiny, sometimes it's broad.
is-
There were people who complained about Garfield Street that were, out on North Street.
Right.
You know, that didn't feel like immediate
Right.
neighborhood to me.
If I look with my binoculars, I can see.
Well,
Your
well,
immediate neighborhood.
If it wasn't bright red, you wouldn't.
Yeah, but it was gonna be the blacksmith's school and woodworking school.
that's
with
true.
no-
That
you
would
know,
have been
so-
noise.
That's
So,
Yes.
you know, when in doubt, I always cut in favor of their interested persons. You know,
Yeah.
you know, and if you overshoot it and there's an appeal, well, this environmental court can figure that out.
Yeah.
The environmental court likewise is pretty expansive on it, as they should be, because that just, if you're not an interested person, you don't get to appeal or participate in the appeal. So it's an important
Yeah.
thing, you wanna be liberal with it.
Okay, so in terms of that area, I feel that RA5, though we've heard reports asking us to remove it from there, I do feel business yard is suitable for that area, given the size of it, given the lot sizes, and the limitations we have in our commercial districts because of the size of that.
And it's still conditional use.
And it's still a conditional use, and a business yard can constitute a lot of different things. I think, you know, there's a certain assumption of what a business yard might be, but it can be a lot of different things.
Kevin, would you call where Randy Sargent is He rents a lot of those cranes out.
That's a business
So
yard.
that's a business yard. They
Yeah.
come in, he services, and back out they go.
Yeah.
That's a business yard.
And what is he? He's mixed. Is he mixed out there? I don't
I
know.
don't know. His grandfather probably.
It's interesting, you know, the
Yeah, I think he's
minimum
really-
lot size in commercial is only an acre. And, you know,
Yeah,
you,
yep.
and
Cause
Right
that's,
here.
yeah,
you look at the
Yes,
other
there.
things in commercial that you want there, retail, offices, things like that. You can see a business yard might not fit that well, given that the properties might be smaller.
Okay.
He's village mix.
he's village, yeah. Which isn't allowed. But he's,
Pre-existing.
Existing, well, it's like Luke Halleck, you know, he's up there in his father's place.
Right. So in terms of that location, so looking at what's in here, we're proposing, I think we have consensus in terms of removing trash, recycling, garbage. It's not, that particular wording isn't in any of the regulations. And there is no use for that. But we're recommending that the planning commission maybe discuss that in their next revisions to see if that should be a use in certain districts. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
Okay.
I don't think you should do it by definition in here.
Okay, yeah, it seems an odd place to call that out.
Yeah.
And then with regard to the size, I don't think I have any issue with what they've put in here. But I don't know, I'm not as familiar in terms of the size of trucks and things like that. And then,
Is it
and then the
95
paved-
horse and
90
horsepower and 10
10
yards?
yard or
or
larger
larger
dump
dump
trucks,
trucks. Yeah.
95 horsepower or larger excavators or similar equipment shall be sited with direct access to a paved road. Obviously, I think, what's the percentage of our roads that are paved in Bristol? It's like 30% or?
No, it can't be 30%.
That's too high or too low?
I think it's too high.
No.
think so.
You've got all the village streets.
Got all the village streets.
Yeah, but it's
Hey,
not
so
allowed in the
how
village
many-
streets. I'm
we
just
got
thinking outside.
90-something miles
I
of
see.
pavement?
I don't remember.
I think we
There's
have
like
less
62
dirt than we do
Yeah, I think there's
pavement.
like 62 miles in Bristol.
Yeah, but all the
Like that.
pavement is right
Well,
here
but
where it's not allowed anyway.
Right.
That's it. If you think outside of,
Well, if you
Yeah.
looked at RA
Outside.
5, that's where it matters.
right, and
I don't know.
most of that is dirt.
A lot of it.
Yeah, hard
Hards
gravel,
gravel,
Laura
Burpee.
gravel and Burpee.
So what would be the reason,
Part of the
what is,
knowledge.
I don't think like we heard from Kevin Hansen specifically.
He left.
No, but I mean previously in previous discussions about the particular requirement for direct access to paved roads.
That was their
That-
concession. When they
Okay.
had the last meeting before they sent them to us, they
Okay,
had a lot of people, John Moyers and Slim Pickens, who were kind of on that
Yeah.
side with people saying, yeah, well, we really don't want it in RA5, but if you're gonna have it in RA5, because they voted to say, yes, we want it in RA5.
okay,
We're not gonna take it out of RA5. So there was some discussion, so that was kind of their concession of trying to describe business yard and kind of
Okay.
make people happy.
okay.
Well, a double axle, right, tandem truck is gonna be 14 yards.
And a triple, triaxle is basically the same thing, with more axle under it.
I mean, some of the roads
That's
are
18.
limited by weight anyway, so.
No, they're
Not
not.
to and from their
They're
home.
not. They are, but they aren't, because we file every year for overweight permits in towns, like, I don't know, you sign them or did Eric sign them?
Yeah, Eric does.
And he gets hundreds of them.
Yeah, the
And they're only $5.
the equipment goes in and out by,
$10 for fleet.
Right.
even if it was a 10-yard dump truck, it could still tow a trailer with equipment on it, I suppose.
Provided the equipment's under.
Well, I know, but
horsepower.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I'm just saying the size of the 10 yards versus having that limitation in paved roads, and I'm thinking, well, like dust or noise, I'm not sure what the concern is, but the equipment in a contractor's yard goes in and out by trailer, it's not driven down the road.
Mhm.
And so,
It may drive down the road. Maybe a loader, if you're going, moving a mile, you might drive it.
maybe,
You know,
But
well,
it says excavator.
Well, okay, so to that point, what do you mean? So it's being driven by trailers, so do you feel?
yeah, I think it's coming and going, by trailers anyway, I'm not sure what the paved limitation
Okay.
accomplishes. And
And given the number of paved roads down there, or non-paved roads rather, in that district, it is severely limiting where you might be able to put a business yard.
Well, like, you
Yes.
know, Estes wouldn't be able to put one up there because they're at the end of a dirt road,
Which one's Estes?
over by Baldwin's,
Oh, yeah,
you know,
I think Paul Davis,
no, he's
well, he's
on
on
paved.
paved road, right,
But is there anybody up near
The
you
one
that
above it,
has-
the one above it there where.
yeah,
Your buddy,
You
our
got it.
next door neighbor, Tyler, he's got stuff, and Adam Driscoll, I don't know what he holds at his house up on Upper Main.
he doesn't, well,
But he does bring it up and down.
Oh, yeah,
You know,
yeah,
if he's doing work there, he'll bring it to his house and leave it.
he,
But I mean, these
he
are all
owns
existing, we have to
P&P.
think sort of to the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And
we're
what
just
might come
saying,
in,
if
right.
they were to come in now,
Yes,
like if Adam decided he wanted to have his business yard at his
Mm-hmm.
house, under this, he wouldn't be able to.
Well, Busca's have a bunch of stuff, Nate was working out of his parents' place there on the
Yeah,
corner of
on-
Meehan.
Upper and
He still
lower.
is.
Upper Main.
He still does.
okay. So what happens if we take, given what you said, Kevin, about the paved road, so if we remove the paved part of that, do you still feel it's too limited in terms of the 10-yard or larger and the 95 horsepower?
I guess the only thing I would say is that in the spring of the year, if it's limited to paved roads, you can keep those vehicles off the posted roads.
Okay,
You know, that would be the only advantage from a town's perspective that I could see, because you can't stop me from going home.
yeah,
You can't stop me from going to my home. But,
And you aren't gonna prevent them anyway.
uh,
I said, you aren't gonna prevent them from doing
No,
whatever
you're-
anyway, unless
you're-
somebody calls and complains.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
I mean, I see people up on our road once it's posted that shouldn't be there, but.
and I mean, a lot of towns post their paved roads as well, we don't.
okay.
I just feel it's restrictive.
I definitely feel it's restricted on the, can be only a 10-yarder. I'm not sure I wanna meet a tractor with a big excavator on it, pulling it on a trailer with a single axle truck. He's got more stopping power with that tandem that's 14 yards. And that's loaded, he can't pull it loaded, but can't load the tandem and the trailer on it. But I'd like extra brakes on, instead of only one axle brakes, 2 sets of brakes on it.
I mean, if you were applying that, I mean, not that you can do your gravel business here, but, you know, if you were on a dirt road, you would be able to do what you're doing.
Actually, Plank Road Pit is on a dirt road and, you know. it can't-
Well, right, your Plank Road one is, but I'm talking about the where you are now.
Yeah,
I mean, right, your Plank Road business, but we've talked about that, you would have access through New Haven, not
Yep.
Bristol. But if you didn't, and this is, you
Yeah.
couldn't open that yard up.
Okay, do you have any thoughts?
She's all
Other
thought
than-
out.
Other than, I don't see the harm in keeping the trash, recycling and garbage business in.
The
But
only
it's
thing-
not allowed anyway.
Yeah,
I know, so that's why I don't see any harm in leaving it in.
well, it's specifically calling it out, even though we have
Yeah.
no mention of it in any of the other, any use in any district.
You know, you've got the initial sentence that says, construction, landscaping, or similar heavy equipment or other materials and facilities customarily required by a contractor in the building, landscaping, or construction-related trades or similar businesses. That doesn't, that's not recycling, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's, no, it's not,
It's not, if they came
I'm
and
not worried
asked,
about that interpretive
if
problem.
they came and asked to open a yard, there's no way that they would be able to, it's not even a conditional use.
Right.
Right.
Couldn't even
So-
store them.
Right,
Right.
Not to say people can go and drop off their trash in,
Yeah.
or like they do down the canal farm in Middlebury.
it just,
Tuesday and
it
Thursday
just
and
seems
Sunday.
like that's been put in dealing with feedback, people saying, we don't want this.
Yeah.
And so they're putting that in directly to say, this isn't going to happen.
But it already can.
Right, but we don't specifically say that.
Yeah.
So I feel,
We don't specifically say you're not supposed to go out and shoot somebody, but that's still against the law.
right,
Last time I checked, bud.
I wonder if the interpretation at the
Water's
time
here.
had to do with kind of, construction debris being stored on a yard, the business yard.
My guess is that it's a reaction to the Masterson conundrum, and after the fact.
Chris Acker, yeah.
No, Masterson, out in Lorna Road, the Masterson piece down there, yeah, so, you know, although his piece is on paved road, but a lot of that road is dirt,
Right.
and I think,
Yeah.
you know, so, and there's noise associated with his application, it's one of the main complaints, but the noise comes primarily from the stockpiling of topsoil, the unload, and the proposal is to have that limited to 2 weeks a year, so, in some ways, it's, just strikes me, I wasn't at the PC meeting, so I was trying to address the Masterson situation after the fact, and
too late.
but a lot of the problem, as far as neighborhood upset with the application was, a lot due to
Tailgate.
noise, I was building a big road, a long road, and it took a long
Well,
time.
he
Built that
had,
road and it made a lot of noise, and it was disruptive to people, but
he had
he had a house up there. He could
10
do it.
trucks running from some pond he was digging,
Yeah.
drawing topsoil
Yeah.
back to his house for
Yeah.
like a week.
Yeah,
And that's a lot of tailgate slamming.
yeah,
sure is.
yeah, and he was building a
Another
long road,
Yep.
and there was a lot of noise associated with that, but his house is up there. So I get the neighborhood upset and complaints, but I'm not sure
What this would do for that.
yeah, I guess the notion is, okay, if it's just backhoes, it's okay, but we don't want front-end loaders, but in the contractor yard, they're getting on and off the trailers. You know, they're not actually operating. Masterson's proposal is to have this limited topsoil stockpiling situation. I suppose could happen other places, and, you know, we'll deal with it. We'll deal with it. We're gonna meet on the 2nd for our first deliberative session. I don't know how it's, what the board feels, but, it's noise is the main, noise and traffic are the main, concerns, but primarily noise. So a lot of contractors' yards, I would think that your typical front-end loader is bigger than 95 horse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so is a backhoe bigger than 95 horse?
No, but most of his excavators are.
Yeah, but so I don't know who came up with 95, if it was just a dart throw, or if it actually had something to do with
It's
sizes of equipment.
probably somebody who had a 90 horse excavator that they want to be able to move around.
I think another metric should be enforceability.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's, the practicalities of enforcement is.
Well, and that's hard, you know, Tom Fox asked us that, well, how do you enforce it? How do you make them, it's like, well, first of all, you can't enforce something if you don't know there's a violation. And it's not the ZA's job to go around, you know, everybody's house to make sure they're in compliance, you know? It
No, it's
usually
hard.
comes from somebody complaining.
Right.
Are we gonna set a time limit? You can't, you know, operate it between,
I mean,
Well,
that's
that's part of
conditional
the, that's
use.
part of the DRB.
Yeah,
and-
Okay.
right, conditional use.
And
we
not part of
look at-
this is just.
Well, Act 250
the
will
allowance.
restrict
Right.
some of that too.
Right.
Yeah, so
Depending on
if you're big enough.
Okay.
I mean, I think there should be some leeway though, I mean, you know, if you're plowing snow and it says you can't start before 6 AM and you're plowing snow, he's leaving at 2 AM, 1 AM like some of us are.
Yeah, well, you could be leaving at 2 AM going to work.
Yeah, but in the middle of
So
summer, I
that's-
think there's a restriction there you could enforce, but, you know, if we had a flood and say, you know, we're working around the clock, then all provisions go
Well, I
away.
want you working then, so it's okay.
Right, right, exactly, Baker.
So if this.
You
if
get
this-
where I'm coming from here.
If this stays in, your feeling is that you're just,
It's just restrictive.
It's restrictive, or we're telling what business can, cannot do, cannot be here and cannot be here, you know? You're small enough, you're okay, but any bigger and you can't be in our five.
But I mean, that's what these regulations are for. I mean, given the size of the town, given the topography of the town, I mean, that's why we have
To follow the
these.
town plan.
Right, but the town plan is built on conversations like that, in terms of what this particular area is suitable for and what it isn't suitable for.
I know somebody it would affect, they're already there, they're not permitted, but like Randy Ashline's up in the notch, he cuts firewood, he has log loads of firewood coming.
Okay,
So that's.
Technically, he's a business yard. If he's got it right.
Technically. And so does he have to,
Then be on a paved road.
yeah,
right.
in order to have his firewood business?
I would like to see the paved road removed, but it has to be on a class 3 road. So that we're not going some of our class 4s.
We don't have
We
to
even-
maintain those.
I realize that, but you're like, I'm thinking the one that goes down to Bill Sayers trailers down there, you know?
But if they wanna run log trucks out of there, they're gonna run way over that.
Right, they are, but
I mean, I just,
I just think this last sentence needs to go. That's just.
I don't.
I mean, you know, are you gonna tell them, well, you want a load of gravel, you gotta get less than a 10-yard truck to bring it up?
Right.
Right.
Who do you justify can run the truck on the road and who can't?
I don't know what it accomplishes, you know, it makes you have a smaller truck.
More trips.
If you're.
Makes more trips.
Well, but if you're a neighbor, maybe the 10-yard dump truck's a little quieter, not a lot. I mean,
My neighbor's got a small dump truck and that's
Well, I know.
loud.
They're louder, the smaller they're louder because they
and
bounce
the
more.
size of
And he
the,
drives like a maniac.
you know, the horsepower limitation, that's gotta be related to
Put that
have
down as a quote.
noise
Don't put that.
and operation in the contractor's yard, getting onto the low boys and getting off.
Yeah.
The
Again,
horsepower has nothing to do with the noise that the new machinery makes.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
they're
just,
all relatively
I mean,
quiet.
I guess it's a similar thing, if you have 10-yard or larger, 95 horsepower, and must be electric, right? It's that kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you wouldn't do that because there are very few machines that actually do that kind of work, but I mean, that would be something where it's like to keep noise down, but, so it is that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you would think that's kind of like a very silly thing to put in, but it seems like that's what this is doing.
to me, it's gotta be mostly directed at noise reduction.
Yeah.
And.
Size of trucks.
And it seems pretty small benefit relative to
Yeah.
the restriction.
And the fact that, again, it goes before the DRB, it's a conditional use.
I mean, I have no problem asking him to run the paved roads. You know, say we would prefer it if you run the paved roads as opposed to coming up the dirt.
Well,
Right.
even in the Masterson case, which their proposal is to have the trucks
Exit.
all go south.
Yeah.
You know, on the paved road, so.
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
if someone,
that would be my preference just from a town perspective.
just
Don't
to
beat the
make
roads
the road
up.
hold up.
Yeah.
Less dirt, less dust and noise.
Well, it isn't even so much noise, it's, yes, it's gonna be noisier, but it's gonna require us to grade the road more often.
Right, more maintenance for us.
And it's not the end of the world, but, you know, if you can avoid that.
Okay.
But I just don't, you know, what do you tell Four Hills when they, you know, when they start spreading manure and planting corn and then chopping corn up by her house? And they're running semis now.
Yeah, those semis come out and pick up the
Yeah.
corn up there. Mhm.
And they run semis or their tractors, and, you know, their tractors are way heavier than anything that a contractor's gonna put on the road.
And we don't tell them anything because they're
Right, for
farming.
example,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah,
And I mean, I'm not picking on them.
No,
I'm just
I
saying,
know,
you know,
I know.
it's,
Otherwise, it might be a hard problem.
Yeah.
It's a legitimate comparison.
Yeah, it is a
Yeah.
legitimate comparison as far as the impacts go, absolutely.
okay.
So we call it
Because
now?
if they can't, I mean, you're limited to the truck size, then those, we're not curing the whole, what we're trying to cure, getting the business yards out of the village area. Cause well, I gotta store them still in the village area because
Cause that's where I'm grandfathered.
that's where I'm grandfathered. I
Right,
can't even bring them to my new business yard.
yeah,
Well, that, yeah, aside from Masterson's, I don't know that anybody else, is there any other ones stored in the village that are grandfathered?
Alex.
Oh, yeah, so regardless of, if you were to make this change in this regulation now, it wouldn't affect Masterson's, because the applicant, it's the
They're
law,
already
in-
in.
it's the law in
Right.
effect at the time of the application that controls,
Correct.
even if the law changes.
Mhm.
We'd apply the former law.
Right.
but that is an interesting thing, like, you're trying to improve one area that perhaps has business yards already in it with particular size of trucks, and then you're not allowing them to move
Well,
somewhere else. I mean, that
it's
is-
the same as your argument for moving the town shed.
Hmm.
You know, moving it out of the residential,
That's right.
out of the
Yeah.
residential area.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you know, if that wasn't commercial, we wouldn't be able to go there.
Yeah, and, we've heard arguments in terms of being RA5 being a neighborhood, and to the people living there, it is, but looking at definitions from in Vermont statute and other publications, it seems like because of the size of lots and because of the size of the area, it's the
Not
neighborhood
necessary.
definition. Yeah, it's a different definition of neighborhood district.
And, there's sometimes helpful, and maybe helpful here, for each district, there's a statement at the
Right.
of objectives and guidelines, and for RA5, the district includes most of Bristol's productive agricultural lands and additional woodlands. The purpose of the district is to allow for the maintenance of the town's working farmland, forest land, and open spaces, while providing opportunities for low-density rural living and resource-based small businesses.
Yeah.
The desired character is that of rural countryside residential development compatible with and surrounded by agricultural uses, forest uses, and open space. Planned unit development and density-based zoning are permitted, so. Other than commercial, it's the right place for it to be. It's a question of whether you limit it or not. And the minimum size in RA5 is, for a house, is 2 acres.
What was that again? What was that again?
Residential, for a house, residential lot in RA5 is 2 acre minimum.
How
It's
is
five,
that?
it's
Cause you
5
can do
acres,
PUD.
Oh, okay.
PRD.
right, and
Gotcha.
5 acres for commercial.
Gotcha.
So you could put 2 houses on a 5 acre lot if they were,
You'd have to
And
subdivide.
then you could do,
Subdivided.
then you could do AUD and.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
but could it
Anyway,
only be
then,
900 square feet?
That's what happened up behind me.
It's contemplating working farmland, forest land, and open spaces.
Yeah.
I guess, where does, kind of think working goes throughout, but it's working open space too, and that it's.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So we're striking it?
I think so. I mean, given the discussions, I wondered whether to keep it in, but after discussions this evening, it just seems, as you said, it seems limiting. It is the largest area. I know that there have been unfortunate things happening out there with a business yard. But that's not to say that all business yards are gonna be like that. And the fact that it still has to go before the DRB and have review.
Right.
And conditions can be put on it, just as, many other projects have done in the past, and that'll still continue, that's not changing. And residents are able to go to those meetings. It seems like we still have a lot of power and hopefully control and help, both if you're trying to do something like that.
And a lot of times, people don't even realize, like, if you lived up there and your son wanted to start a small lawn mowing business and you got a couple lawnmowers, a trailer, and a pickup,
Yeah,
nobody up there would say anything.
Yeah.
But technically,
yes,
it's a business yard.
right, yeah, it's all good scale and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, Okay.
So you're proposing taking off those last two sentences, starting with trash?
Yeah, I think everything else is fine in there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I mean, I know what they were trying to accomplish by taking out similar heavy equipment, similar businesses, but I don't think that does what they think it does. So I'm fine with leaving that in there,
Okay. So
taking that stuff out.
So starting with trash and
Yeah.
recycling, so we remove that.
And we're gonna take out the truck size.
Yeah, that whole.
Those
that
last
whole
two
red,
sentences, yeah,
The whole change.
yep. Was that the last one we had? I think that's the last one.
Yeah, the main, I mean, you had that was your concern that you had brought up. I talked about the ADUs, we obviously had a lot of feedback in terms of
Right.
sizing and restrictions of that. And there was nothing else really, I mean, there was
The
the
only other
900.
thing we had was the person, whoever was concerned about having the inn, and I think that was John, they wanted it owner occupied.
Yeah.
And
Oh, right.
we're all fine with that, not having it owner occupied.
Yeah, that's another enforceability problem.
And I don't see, they're taking out the owner occupancy, but they're adding in a
But they have to
manager.
have a manager available 24/7.
And so I think that's fine.
You get the same thing.
You know, and it was brought up, the argument was a much larger company coming in
Mhm.
and taking it over, so you lose what a small town has, but the reality of that seems
I'm not
so
gonna, if
far
I'm
removed.
running a 100-room motel, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna come in and take over your 5 beds.
Yeah, I mean, there just isn't, I just
It's
can't
not
see
like
that
a-
ever happening. The likelihood of that, of a large corporation doing that, they just, yeah, it wouldn't make business sense.
Without somebody on site.
Use the Jolie here.
Right. So yeah, there is the manager role in there. And the fact that that particular one, even if it's not owner occupied, it's still, that type of business is based on service. It's not like it's a rental where it's your own a building and you don't look after it and you live somewhere else, and so your person renting for a year or 2 years or whatever has issues and you know, things aren't dealt with. If you're an inn or a bed and breakfast, you know, that type of thing, like, you just get your negative reviews and no one's going there. And so it doesn't behoove you as the owner, even if you're not there, you still don't want that. And I think the manager.
Yeah,
covers
that was the drawback when what I wanted to do with the old fire station.
Oh, right.
You know, said
Yeah.
that somebody had to
Well,
live.
now, if this changes, now you can.
So back, I hate to keep bringing back the ADU, so
Sure.
we're gonna do 900 in the HDR area,
Only in HDR.
only in
That
HDR.
would be our
I'm fine with that.
Although you want to have the village mix, replicate the HDR dimensional standard.
Because it's got nothing.
But somebody who was out in the RA5
Okay.
could build a garage bigger than that and
Thank
put
you,
an
Val.
ADU in it,
35 feet, yes.
up to 35 feet.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Just because.
Could build a
just because
32
you
by
have the lot size
40
and the
garage
type of
with an
area
apartment
that
above
is.
it.
Okay,
No,
so,
no. Not unless their house is big enough to accommodate it.
Well,
That's why I asked the question.
in RA2 and RA5, I've lost where we ended up. As far as, we still have size limitations on the ADU.
correct.
That 30% of the habitable floor area
Or 900 square feet.
outside, no, in outside of HDR, we keeping it
Two.
1,000?
2,000 in RA2,
RA1 is 1,000.
RA1 is 1,000,
Okay.
RA5 is 2,000.
For structures?
Conservation,
Yeah, for
Yeah.
structures.
footprint of such.
And then for your ADU, for your use, it's the 900 or based on the size of your
Okay.
principal dwelling. So to Val's question, that's right. So in
Village mix.
village
Village
mix, I would say, instead of saying make that what high density residential is, because we're gonna change that, I would say make that the same as RA1.
So not HDR, but RE.
RA1 is,
1,000.
So,
Yeah,
So for the footprint and the size.
so it's
Correct.
1,000 foot,
right, which essentially matches HDR, what it is
Right.
now.
5,000.
It's 5 and 1.
so in
We're
another-
changing it to 5 and 9, but I think village mix should be 5 and 1, which is the same as RA1, just since we're not.
So it's,
I said-
footprint is what, one?
No, I was wrong. We're looking at village mix.
Correct.
Yeah, it doesn't,
It doesn't say.
it doesn't have footprints.
That's
Yeah,
what we're
That's what we're
adding.
That's what
Yeah, oh, you're right.
Yeah.
You were,
So-
Because we were concerned that you could just build anything.
right,
So
no,
the
no,
foot- what is-
We're
what's the
adding
footprint?
this here.
I lost
5,000
why I was
down.
looking at
What's your
RI1 a moment ago, I thought I was in the wrong place,
5,000
but
square
that's,
feet,
Ian was saying, you're gonna make it the same as village, as RI1.
Alright.
and that's
1,000 for the
Yeah,
accessory.
which essentially is what HDR is now, but we're just changing HDR.
So, okay, so I still got my ADA question, ADU question.
Okay.
ADA, I think I'm gonna get a heart attack here.
Oh my God, what if there's a wheelchair ramp? Oh man, grandma needs a wheelchair ramp.
No, so if you build a 32 by 30 garage and a 25 square foot home on an RA5, it's 960 square feet, and it's, so you can build it or not.
You're at RA5?
Right, you can build it.
Yes,
It's more than
Yeah,
30%.
yes, it's
Yeah,
5
but
and
what are-
1,000, yes.
And RI5 is 5 and 2,000.
Correct, sorry, 5 and
So you can buy a
2,000.
2,000
Up to
square foot
2,000 square
ADU.
foot.
Okay.
And again, the idea is that you're scaling to the
Right,
lot size.
right, that's what I was trying to
and your-
say.
And your districts.
Right,
You
okay.
know,
I'm
HDR
fine with that.
is the
Right, and that-
smallest lot size, most dense in the area.
Then Peter had a question on commercial buildings can only be 5,000 square feet up to?
That's in RA5.
Yeah,
Which, you know, RA2 is the same, I believe.
5,000 square foot principal building, 5,000 square foot principal building in RA2 as well.
And RA1, yeah.
I mean, we
I mean,
haven't
it's-
had any discussion about that, and we haven't heard anything, the planning commission didn't work on that, so.
No, I just, you know,
Yeah, it's interesting.
like I said, I got a 7,000 square foot building and I'm not exactly sure how I got it, because according to this.
Well, but it must be before,
No.
We built that in the 90s, Peter?
Huh?
Maybe
We
you,
built that in the
maybe you need to
90s.
have a chat with the zoning administrator.
did you apply?
in the
for
90s.
conditional use?
No, it was just Bob Hall.
Wow.
Well,
That
there-
explains it
there-
all.
I was gonna suggest
I didn't argue.
it might have something.
Don't say anymore, Peter.
Why would I argue?
You got your permit, you're good.
That's right.
Got a permit,
Okay.
got the building all built, and then Labor and Industry showed up and said, hey, you can't build this building without our permission. My brother was like, here it is.
It's been built.
Yeah, and then found out we had to go through Act 250, and the building was all built, and it's like, oh boy. I learned a lot on that project.
Yeah, the hard
See,
way.
things
The hard
I
happen.
remember you had to dig all the
Not
dirt.
intent, but they're not
But
intentional.
things happen, and they still continue to happen.
Right.
So
Well,
how-
and
how
that's,
do we
you know, I
improve
came back and said, you know, when you're building a commercial building, because I didn't think it was a commercial building. It's
Ah.
my building for my use,
Hmm.
and they're like, oh no, that's
Well,
commercial.
he showed
that?
up,
Oh, I see.
Labor and Industry showed up at my house when I was building the garage. I go, Joel and Star Boovier building this garage, not Boovier Construction. See you later.
Mhm.
Until I told him, see you later.
Right.
I mean, but that's part
Build
of
me
the
a
problem.
two-car
I mean, and the
garage
problem
with
with, you know,
Store the camper in.
having our ZA say, well, you need this, this, and this, he really can't do that. He can say, you should check with, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're building this, you still need
You
to check.
may need
You
these
need-
permits.
Right, you may need, and you should check with,
Yeah.
you know, Department of Labor,
Should,
public building,
You-
whatever.
I mean, it was a
think-
whole lot
But the
smoother
onus
when
is
we did
really
our
on
apartment
them.
house, because we knew
I mean,
everything.
But I mean,
Kevin's,
the idea is that our ZA and that the town should help as much as they can.
Right.
To prevent the things that people
Right.
have gone through, and it still happens. Garfield is a perfect example of
Right,
that.
and there's a balance there, because it's not the zoning administrator's job to figure out all the permits they need.
Exactly.
You know, and so,
Yeah.
here are the people you should call.
And you don't
Yes.
know. I mean, I didn't know that it was a building for my excavating business. I didn't know it was considered a commercial building.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna let anybody in there.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
and
that's,
It's just outbuildings for you, yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
where are
just-
we?
Peter, do you think, so Kevin, you said RA2 is 5,000 square foot for a commercial building,
principal building,
principal building, and same with RA5.
right.
Should we,
I would
Up
leave
that to
up the PC.
7,500.
I would leave that to the PC
Yeah.
to deal with at their next, you know.
Yeah.
I think
I think those are the
that's a tight building.
two questions for them is
I
the
mean, you know,
50
trash
by 100
recycling
or-
and,
Well, you could make a commercial building, you could have different standards, you could have 5,000 square foot house and bigger if it's commercial, not that you necessarily want to.
I'm taking Matheson's right now.
I mean,
He's only gonna be able to build a 2,000 square foot garage.
right, the whole, and
I'll bet
if
you
you
the
truck
one
and
he's got,
trailer,
I'll bet you the one he's got here on North Street.
2,000 square feet, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So if he
that's-
didn't build his house up there, could he have built a bigger garage? That's what I'm trying to get, bigger shop for his maintenance.
no,
No, but it's still,
2,000
it's
square
still a building, they're still in the regulations. But yeah, so that would be the next thing, I mean, so there's, the PC has it.
I'm not
they're-
sure
they're-
5,000 is. a
They're
lot.
getting a list of what they should look at, that could be one of them.
What is-
It was mentioned in terms of
What
the,
is,
how Airbnb or short-term rentals
20,000.
are regulated, or what
Maybe
kind of
30.
stipulations we as a town put on those. I
The
think we could look
director
at that.
was in Texas, so I didn't get to ask him.
Oh, okay, yeah, I mean, that's, it is something to
a
look
lot of
at,
towns are struggling
Yeah.
with that, I've been
What's
on
that?
the front end of that and.
Mhm.
Well, they've
Killington-
been trying to get the public safety to take it over, and they've been fighting it.
Well,
tooth
they
and nail.
they don't.
Of course they are.
They're overmatched.
Take-
and-
yeah,
Take what over, Peter, I didn't hear the first one.
Short-term rental.
Short-term rental.
like
Oh,
Airbnb.
Airbnb.
But you can deal with that through an ordinance rather than a zoning bylaw, it's either way.
Ah, okay,
And if you wanna take it up, I'd recommend just doing it through an ordinance, because
okay,
it's so much faster,
Cleaner.
quicker process, you can fine tune it, and the state doesn't have a lot of requirements, it's not, you know, so.
and is that something the planning commission would, if they chose to do so, would work on that ordinance, or
You-
present it to
Well,
us,
see, for an ordinance,
or does that come from here?
an ordinance, it's the select board, now you could actually charge the planning commission to do it.
Ah, okay,
And it'd be advisory, hey, take a look at this stuff.
Okay.
And, that's what, the town of Rutland does not have zoning, believe it or not, it has subdivision, but not zoning, and, the select board charged the planning commission to consider a short-term rental ordinance.
ah, okay,
To come up with a draft, then it comes to the select board, but the select board adopts. And there, you don't have to deal with those number of public hearing requirements like you
I see.
do. It's a lot
Okay.
cleaner, so. In
Hmm.
Killington, I think it might have been the first one. And I worked on it a lot. We had it in, most of the homes in Killington are second family homes,
Yeah.
vacation rentals, and it was in the zoning bylaws. And it got, people want tweaks, you're figuring it out the first time, and we've scrapped it, we're drafting it as an ordinance, which will take effect, and the bylaws will be repealed effective immediately once the ordinance takes effect. It's just a lot,
Who enforces the ordinance?
the town,
Town
well,
administrator.
well,
Oh,
well, in
ZA.
in Killington, the select board's gonna designate, I'm sure they'll designate the.
The health
zoning
officer?
No, the zoning, you can designate the zoning administrator, you can designate the
Administrative
town
officer.
Yeah.
and not that I think that we need one, it had been brought up, there
Yes,
was,
it
there was
happened.
concern about that, and it was suggested at one of the meetings, that we just need to study it and see what's the makeup of short-term rentals.
Put that
in
on
Bristol.
Valor's
Is this
list.
something
Somebody put it
that
on
we-
Back
public
page here.
forums, did you see, they
Oh, really?
just checked on Airbnb, and I can't remember how many, maybe 60?
Oh, interesting.
It just on Airbnb, that didn't
Wow.
talk about VRBO and,
Yeah.
you know,
So
any of the other ones.
the statute that allows towns to regulate those types of uses says something to the effect of, as long as it doesn't hinder the availability of affordable housing or rental
Oh,
housing.
okay,
So that's the concern,
yeah,
one of the main concerns, that's the big concern in Burlington with UVM, and restricting students, but also Airbnbs, because there's so little housing stock for rentals,
yeah,
and the occupancy is like 98 or 99%, something like that, which causes rents to go
Sky high.
way, right, and then, so if you pull rental units out of the marketplace for people to live in, because it's an investment property, you just wanna flip it as a Airbnb, you've taken that out of the housing stock for your working people.
yeah.
That's the issue, and that's,
Right,
towns
and
are
that's
supposed to
what we
think
would wanna
about.
study here, is it, how much of that is affecting
Right,
how people can live in Bristol, or if people can live in
in
Bristol.
a town like Killington, doesn't have any impact at all,
Right.
and it's all second family home,
Right.
all vacation homes.
Right, well, that's what I was gonna say, the touristy spots, it's probably more able to, here, it really impacts.
Yeah.
You know,
We've had a few before the DRB, not many, but we've had a few.
well, right now, they don't have to come and get a permit or
Do we
anything.
have, do we, Do we even know how many Airbnbs they have?
No, I was just saying this, I want to say Jessica did a quick search, I thought she said there were like 60
In Bristol?
in Bristol.
Yeah, it's time of month too, it changes obviously, if
Right.
things are on market or off market.
So,
Are we all set with
in my
Kevin?
notes, I
Yeah.
outlined a timeline. It appears as though you've all agreed on some substantive changes. So another hearing is required. And the soonest we can have a hearing would be in January on what did I say here?
The 15th?
Is it the 15th? January, the soonest would be January 22nd. And the hearing notice would need to be sent to the newspaper by this Friday.
But we don't need comment from them to schedule that meeting, we just
No.
need comment from them
By-
by that meeting.
Right, and they either will meet
They meet the 11th, I think.
Um,
Kevin said, didn't he?
They can
the
meet twice.
16th,
The 16th, Tuesday
Yeah.
the 16th.
Tuesday the 16th. Or if they wanna stick with their first Tuesday, so that would be January 2nd.
Or January.
Yeah, either way. Or Kevin also suggested they could consider a special meeting if they had to,
Right.
or wanted to. So, does it sound like we're on track for
Yeah,
I think so.
a hearing on the 22nd?
I mean, I don't think our suggestions for changes are too egregious.
no, I don't believe the planning commission is gonna have a problem with it, I think.
Except maybe the definition one, because they probably put a lot of effort into that.
Definition.
The
The
business yard?
Business
Yeah.
yard.
That was a consensus, not everybody agreed with that.
Oh.
I can tell you that right now.
It was sausage.
Yeah, yeah, I'm interested, and hopefully, after discussion tonight, the ADU part, in terms of the sizing, will be acceptable, and that'll be a good,
So the statute, Val, says if any part of the proposal is changed,
Mhm.
the legislative body at least 10 days prior to the hearing shall file a copy of the change proposal with the clerk of the
Mhm.
municipality and the planning commission.
Mhm.
So we gotta get it to the PC for comment.
And we have to have it, then we
10
have to
days.
have it posted 10 days before the 22nd.
Well, also,
meet.
for the hearing, if it's going to be published in the,
Addison?
yeah, I guess I didn't put that date in there,
You
but
did, I thought you said by this Friday.
well, I have to get it to the paper by this Friday for publication on the 4th, which means it needs to be available and posted publicly by then, anyway, so.
Well, they're not gonna have it, they're not gonna meet before then unless. they
No,
do a
but
special-
they don't have to meet before then, we put this out, this is the document we want.
Well, we have to make the changes, so if somebody has to make
Right.
the changes, we don't have the Word
Yeah.
version.
I do.
Oh, you do, okay.
I've gotta go meet.
So we get those made, we get it sent to them, and we can
Post
post what,
Yeah, or what I would do is I'll pull out excerpts of what I'm not gonna reprint the whole
Right,
100+ pages, and stuff, but just the changed areas.
the areas that were additional changes.
Yeah,
Which is it's just 3 areas, correct? Oh, no, it's 4, it's the
No.
floodplain,
Floodplain,
ADU,
ADU,
the-
definition,
the definition, and then the addition of the structure size.
yeah, those, whatever one we're doing, yeah.
I'll run it by folks, make
Okay.
sure I get it right.
Okay,
So the 25 feet or 80%, that is only in HDR, right?
That was the idea, that was
okay.
the only area. And looking at the surrounding, it didn't make sense in village business. And then for village mixed, again, it gets lot sizes are bigger, it's not as dense in terms of the housing.
Yeah.
It seems like you should be able to build to the size.
Right, yeah.
Structural
No,
regulations for those districts.
I get that, yeah. Okay.
Great, well, good job.
Yeah, thank you,
that's why
Kevin.
we get paid the big bucks, right?
That's right. Well, no, you guys are paying attention. Some select boards just, they don't actually
We were accused of that.
dive in, wow, we get accused of that too. We apparently approve anything. You know?
Apparently you guys don't, like, you,
And if it's
in
already
the
been,
flood zone too.
if it's been built in violation, we just say, oh, well, that's too bad,
Someday.
too bad, I guess there's nothing we can do. That's never happened in my time.
Well, thank you, I really appreciate you
Yeah,
coming in and
Take a cookie or
Working with
keep
I already
a
took one.
cupcake, we'll
No.
take it home again, you know?
Good.
take
Bring it
10
home to
or-
Betsy,
10 or
she'll
11.
appreciate it.
We have so many, all right, I'll say Michelle maybe is chocolate, she'll want it upward. I brought one home and it was my idea, not Michelle's.
That's right. I was thinking of you, Betsy.
There you go. Hope you guys don't have much more on your agenda, my God.
No.
I don't think we have much more.
Minutes and,
Be out of here by now, resolution. No.
The rest,
and a quick
Oh, yeah.
executive session.
mhm,
Oh, and the,
application or
Okay.
whatever.
Oh, yes.
We all set then?
Mhm, Yep,
Thank you.
just about.
thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin.
Good night, good night.
Did you lose a hat? Do you have a winter hat, or is that mine?
It's Jolie's.
Mine, okay.
Floor over there.
Yeah, that's mine.
Okay, next.
Review and approval of December 4th, December 11th, and December 18th, 2023.
We don't have the 18th.
I know we don't have the 18th, I already put no on that.
I make a motion to accept December 4th and December 11th, 11th, with whatever changes I gave to that.
Second.
You had brief changes on the 4th and
And
none on
nothing
the
on
11th.
the 11th, yep.
That's good.
I looked at the 11th, I saw there was,
Second, or did you
There's a motion.
second that?
there's a motion and a
Is that the
second.
first?
Gonna
That was
find
the
out
first and a second.
Pick who you want, Valerie. All those in favor?
I,
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Authorized accounts payable warrant, and that is 29,000,
24?
24,749.17.
Did you notice we lost Darla at some point?
Yeah, we did.
Early on,
Riding
like,
through the mountains, yeah.
early on.
Yeah.
Yeah, she sent me and Joel a text saying that,
I thought I saw
and this
it.
was.
I'm sick of listening to you guys.
6:55. She said, I lost the signal, but I heard much of the conversation. Thank you all for the good ideas and smart discussion. I'll try to jump back on when the signal comes back up.
You gave
Yeah,
it.
don't worry about it.
I don't know how to find that thumbs up, so I have,
Oh,
It's nice that she's able to do some of it.
okay,
So 4A.
yeah, 4A.
be
The
transit
French
reimbursement.
agenda.
Yeah, I just put down a V transit.
That thing.
So explain what this is, I saw that.
Yeah.
This
My
is for the
entry.
Lincoln Road, the riverbank repair work.
And they're
So
looking
the
for-
engineering that we've paid out so far.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Does that include
So
the?
that's coming out of the
bore-
grant.
Does that include the boring?
No, that's
it's different.
different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is just the Lincoln Road project.
We're asking for,
Engineering.
may say here,
The boring.
28,855.
No, this is
Well,
the
that's-
state, for the engineering for the cribbing.
So I should read
Oh,
that amount.
okay.
Oh, yeah, and, well, you don't need to read it.
Okay.
But if you guys could sign it, that would be handy.
All right. Tell you motion a second to accept this grant,
Can I
It's
do
not a
both?
grant, it's a request for
request for
reimbursement.
reimbursement from YHA Transportation.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Uh,
Aye.
All right, closed, okay, other correspondence, reports,
Nothing?
nothing.
We sign inside, yeah, it says. sign.
Executive session, make a, we have something you said?
Ian would like to have a conversation.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to go into executive session now.
I make a motion to enter an executive session per 1 VSA section 303,
313.
313 for personnel?
Sure.
Personnel.
Okay,
Second.
there's a motion and a second, we are through in executive session.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that.